What's going on, guys? Besides here, and into today's video we will learn a huge lot about laning phase and AD carry, from matchup, trading, wave management, converting a lead from the early game to a lead into the later stages, everything in one single video. If you're the first time here, my name is Besides and I'm a League of Legends coach. I also picked Challenger in Season 9. Since then I basically become a coach, so I was very happy with getting master tier accounts on different champion pools: support, AD carry and mid lane. I also got the Diamond 4 account from bronze to Diamond 4 all the way 200 ping, so I can just prove to people with clean fundamentals you can climb for sure on AD carry. It's not the best role in the world, but it's an okay role and it's a balanced role that you can carry. In addition of that, in about 3 months I will be finishing my master degree on pedagogy, which is the science of teaching, in case you're wondering. So this video will help you whether you are low rank or a high rank. This video is going to be very in-depth and it will help you to focus on the basics, but it's also really helpful for you if you're above master tier. Enjoy. First of all, why is lane important? Why should I care? Like, okay, I'm a bad laner, but I'm faker in teamfights. Well, laning is extremely important for AD carry, but on a role like AD carry, I would not say that lane is everything, but it can definitely, lane is definitely 70 to 80% of the game, especially if you play below diamond. But it's really important to understand that the fact that you win the laning phase, it can higher your chances by a huge lot. If you want to be relevant, or even better, it can higher your chances to be the carry in the later stages, because that's what you're looking to play as an AD carry. So the simple way is like this: lane is important because it can help you to scale and get gold. If you get gold, you buy items. AD carry is about getting very powerful and being able to translate this power in later stages through positioning, good macro and other things that are like smaller. But guess what? There is no positioning, or there are no team fights or macro rotations in the late game if there is no late game. You lost the lane, that's GG. So this is why it's really important. Pre-lane preparation. The most important question that you have to ask yourself is this: if this is a challenger player in my situation right now, what is his plan of this particular game? Then the plan will be always based on the champion he plays, the support he has, and the matchup that he plays, and sometimes the jungle and the team composition he plays. There are a lot of huge lanes that you don't need to play to win. You don't need to play to trade. You don't need to play aggressively. You don't need to win by killing them. That doesn't mean you don't trade at all, but that simply means you play the lane to not lose. So you avoid trading and you just trade back, and you discourage trading with what you can do. Of course, that doesn't mean you don't touch them, but you avoid doing that. Are you an AD carry main struggling to make an impact in your games? Is your damage output disappointingly low, leaving you feeling frustrated and powerless in the role you love? Introducing our specialized coaching program designed to supercharge your AD carry performance. Imagine a world where your damage, decision making and farming skills are 10 times better and the outcome of your games is no longer left to chance. Meet Chase. Just like you, he was once stuck in the same position, facing low damage and inconsistency in his games. Let's see what happened after his coaching experience, from Diamond 4 to Master Tier. Wow! And here is Jordan and Brett, both transformed into formidable AD carry after the coaching session. These success stories aren't just isolated cases, they are a part of a community of over 3,243 players who benefited from the coaching program. If it worked for them, why not for you? Picture yourself as an unstoppable AD carry. It's not a dream, it's your potential with the coaching session. Don't wait any longer, visit Beside.com, book your coaching and become the AD carry the enemy team hates to play against. So it's really important for you to understand your strengths and your weaknesses as a champion and the champion that you play really against. So let's take a look at this. So Vayne into Caitlyn or Vayne into Draven, you can play, oh, it's easy, right? I need to play to not lose. Exactly. So you need to play to not lose. If you're Draven, it's the opposite. You need to stomp Vayne. But this can become a little bit more complicated because, for example, if Caitlyn has, for example, a very useless support like Yuumi, or a non-anti-synergy champion like Taric, Caitlyn, they don't really do much. But at the same time, let's say the Vayne has a very strong support like a Senna or potentially a Karma. This actually changes the deal, right? If you actually only count one-on-one in a vacuum, you're gonna say, oh, Vayne versus Caitlyn, easy, right? I need to play to not lose. Well, not really, not really. Because the thing is, if you really think about it, in this specific case, you have to think about Vayne in the early game from a scale from 0 to 10. How strong is she? And we can say that she's pretty weak, but not super weak, because if she can all-in, she's actually very strong. The problem with Vayne is that her lack of wave clear. So I think she's around 6.5, potentially to a 7, but the Caitlyn is definitely a 9 or a 9.5. So she's significantly stronger right here. We can see basically 2 points, easily 2 points more than the Vayne, 2 to 3 points, right? So if you think about Senna or Karma, Karma is also a 9 out of 10, maybe even a 9.5 out of 10, so very strong. And if you think about the Yumi, she's like a 2 in the lane. Or Taric, she's like 2, maybe in best case is 3. So if you make an like average here, so Vayne with 6 to 7 and Karma to 9, and the Caitlyn has 9, but Taric has 2 or 3, or Yumi has 2 or 3, you're gonna say like, wait, besides, so you're saying that if I have a Senna and I play against a Caitlyn Taric, because of the fact that Senna is significantly stronger than enemy support, that actually equalizes the fact that I'm weaker than the Caitlyn and we can play more aggressive and we can play to win just because my support is significantly stronger? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, right? You have to compare both of the supports and you have to be like, whoa, so how strong is my support compared to the enemy laner? So look at this. So for example, right here, Vayne Yumi is significantly weaker than Senna early game. Vayne is significantly weaker than Caitlyn early game. Good. So I play to not lose. Awesome. Awesome. So this is basically how you're going to decide. You have to kind of know what your champion is doing really early game. How good is he? And how good is the enemy carry compared to you? And how good is enemy support compared to your support? So how do you know all of this? Well, you just have to play support. Like you just have to play support, because if you don't play support and you play AD carry, you will never gonna know these things, or it will be much harder for you to know these things. And if you want to be a great AD carry, it's very difficult if you are not having a really good knowledge about support, how it works, what to do, like how strong is your support champion. So you have to know really well like what support is supposed to do. In majority of the cases below diamond, they know some things about the support, but they don't really know like specifics, and they don't really know like in-depth information about support, which can help you so much if you want to be a better AD carry. The next lane is what I call a push lane. It's a bit more special. So these kind of lanes, you know, you don't necessarily play to win as in I'm gonna kill them. You basically play for the wave, to push the wave, because for example here Severe Karma, if they get the push against Ezra Lux, is pretty over. Same thing with Ezra Lux. So this is what I call a minion lead lane. So you play the lane to push. If you get the prio, you're gonna get prio on the river, you're gonna get level advantages, your support is easily gonna be able to walk up, because of course we are talking about a matchup where if you get prio, let's say you have more minions right here, let's say you have 6 minions and they have 3, your Karma is easily able to walk up and they just back off right here. So prio is everything in lanes like this. Of course, you also have this kind of examples where it's like, oh coach, but how do I know, like, okay, let's say I have a Karma, right? And they have a Janna. You can argue that, you know, they're both strong, right? They're range supports, and range supports are always like poke style and stronger in the laney phase in terms of like long range high poke. Well, if you really think about Karma, Karma is a 9, and Ashe is also really good. Ashe is also really good in the lane, 8.5 to a 9. But the thing is, also Varus is extremely good, a lot of range, pretty good damage, so he's also 8.5 to 9. The thing is, Janna is not so good. You can argue that this also depends a lot on the runes, because for example, Ezreal with PTA, he's stronger than Ezreal with Conqueror, depending on the matchup. Janna with Glacial Augment compared to Janna with Comet, completely strong. Completely different, right? So if the Janna has Glacial, she's easily a 3 out of 10. If Janna has Irie, she's maybe 5 out of 10, and with Comet, she's definitely 8 out of 10. Even in that case, both laning phase, they are pretty close. So if Janna has Comet and Varus is a 9, Ashe is a 9, and Karma from a scale from 0 to 10, she's a 9. So we can see that this comp is just slightly stronger than this comp, but it doesn't mean they have to play safe now. They just still have to play to win it. So we play to not lose only if there is a significant difference. Like let's say if this is a Twitch or even a Varus really, and this is, for example, a Yumi, or this is Janna with Glacial Augment. In that case, Varus should play really slow. He can go for some poke around his Taste of Blood so he can get some health back, but all in all, if Janna has Glacial, then you should really be careful because you shouldn't really play to win. So the composition, the 2v2, the matchup that you have compared to the matchup that they have, you want to ask this question: do I play to win or do I play to not lose? You have to figure it out. What is it that you want to do in the lane? Sometimes you just want to farm. Sometimes you just don't want to lose HP. Sometimes you just want to play for the push. Sometimes, so you really have to figure it out that first before really playing the lane. And of course, if you really think about challenger players, they also have a very in-depth thought process. They're not only thinking about that. So for example, Draven, Alistar against Varus Spike, they need to play to win this lane really hard and just go on them extremely hard. Also, I picked Alistar right here because I saw very high volatility in Nidalee in the jungle. Nidalee in the jungle, she easily is going to invade the Nocturne and she's going to have a lot of pressure onto the bot lane. We're always going to have perma prio on bot lane. We're always going to have perma prio on top lane. So she just picked Nidalee because she knows all of these things and she thought about all of these things. So in general, when it comes to the support pick or the AD carry pick in high elo, AD carries also think about the jungle. They also think about priority. So for example, if I'm Draven right here, he's thinking, okay, I have Alistar. I need to play the lane to win it. It's up against Pyke Varus. So I have to be very careful about the hook. But all in all, we have to play to win. I win 3v3 with the Nidalee against Nocturne because I have cleanse. I win it really easy because I can cleanse the ignite, cleanse the exhaust, cleanse the Pyke E. So this is super easy. Nidalee should have a slightly faster clear than Nocturne, and she will always have priority for our lane. So if she wants to come back from behind, or if she wants to do something crazy, I want to play around her. So the Draven will slightly make the plan also on that, and they will slow push waves, they will do some amazing stuff. But again, if you're below master tier, I don't think this is really that important. If you're above master tier, then definitely you should play around the jungle. And of course, pro players, they also play with mid prio, they also play with top prio, they also play with TP advantage. This is a bit too advanced if you are below master 1. I would even say below 200 LP. I think focusing on the basics is first, to begin with, the most important thing. The next aspect is the runes. So generally speaking, if we actually take a look at the screen right here, Ezreal, if they have a tank or 2 bruisers, you should always go for the Conqueror. And if they don't, then you can go for PTA and you can play for the laning phase. Of course, PTA is also good with an engage support, but all in all, if they have tank, you should always consider going Conqueror. This information is important because these seasons, unlike the last seasons, the build and the runes start to matter more and more. So understanding how to build and understanding what to do with the runes, it can help you. Of course, not as much as the other macro things or laning stuff that I'm going to show you in this video, but it's really important to it's very easy to actually understand what to take and how to actually assess whatever rune you should take. So for example, on champion like Ezreal, it's very simple. They have 2 bruises or 1 tank, you always go Conqueror. On a champion like Vayne, let's say you play Vayne, if you have a very hard matchup in the bot lane and they have a lot of poke, then you should obviously just go for the fleet footwork, and you can also go for Stormblazer build. But if they have like a pretty easy lane to deal with, then you can also go a little tempo and you can play for the later stages. Super simple. So this is the player that I coached, and you guys can see after I coached, so this is before the coaching and this is after the coaching. So if I go back like 7 days ago, it's basically before the coaching, and after I coached this player, he improved significantly. You guys can see that he has like just a lot of kills. We improved the wave management, we improved his fundamentals. He has games when he's like losing, he's 5-0, so he does have bad games still. I mean, it's normal, anyone can have those, but you guys can see how a little bit of fundamentals can help you so much. So if you really want to improve, look into coaching for sure, because it's definitely really worth it. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the draft. Draft is not something that is important necessarily in below master tier, but if you have well-rounded 3 champions in your pool, that could be pretty good. I mean, that doesn't mean if you play only Vayne or a champion that is like really weak in the laning phase, you can't climb. You can potentially climb until D4. It's just going to be a little bit easier. So if it was me and I play like 2-3 hours per day, let's say, I would usually just take like 3 champions that I can have very well-rounded, 1 blind pick, 1 special pick, and 1 pick that works with a special support. So for example, I will have a blind pick like Ashe, I will have a special pick that I like, maybe I like Vayne, and then let's say if my pool lacks good engage, which it does, because Ashe with Blades or Rush, it's fine, but it's not as good as a Samira. So I'll try to basically pick the first champion blind, the second champion I will try to be a special pick, and the third champion I will try to lack the role that my champion pool doesn't have. So for example, right here I have hyper carry, I have good engage utility. If they pick Lulu, I can play Ashe, I can also play Vayne. But if they pick like a Nautilus, I could pick Vayne, but Vayne is not really good in every situation. So I will also have like a Samara. So if someone has like a champion pool in support role as Nautilus, then I would just go for Samara. So 3 champions is usually good, and in the draft it's very important to not handicap yourself, because sometimes the lane becomes significantly harder if you actually handicap yourself in the draft. People will argue that it's not so important. I don't think it is that important really, but if let's say I have 3 champions that I play and I play them good and I don't go for like 10 champions and I can choose to pick a better champion in the draft, why not? You know, you can higher your chances of winning the laning phase by maybe 5 to 7 to sometimes even 10%. So why not? It's free, it doesn't cost you anything. So I would personally just do it. So let's actually see who is good blind pick. I mean, Aphelios could be good blind pick, but only in high elo. If you know how to play him really, really well, he's always blind pickable, but not recommended below master tier. Ashe is really blind pickable below master tier. After master tier is a bit iffy to pick blind pick Ashe, but still possible. Zeri is amazing blind pick in any rank. Jinx is okay blind pick in any rank. Like after master tier, people will pick Blitzcrank and Nautilus into you, but below master tier, I think you should be okay with this pick. Varus and Zeri, they are definitely the best blind picks here. MF can also work below master tier. Be careful after master tier, because they can pick tank on third champ here, Ornn, and you're gonna be very, very screwed. So be very careful with that. Other than that, I wouldn't recommend you Sivir, Vayne, Xayah, Samara, any other champion in blind pick. Kai'Sa is okay if you know how to atomize with her and you also know the AP build, you also know the Natural Tooth build, you also know the static shield build. You have so many builds and she's very flexible, so she's blind pick right now. Very, very, very good as well. And then other champions in that, okay, Kalista in Challenger or Grandmaster is the best champion in the game right now. Low elo, I'll probably not recommend her. And Jhin, if you're below Diamond, definitely he's okay as a blind pick. Other than that, I wouldn't really pick any other champion blind pick. Lucian blind pick is very bad. Samira, Vayne, Xayah blind pick can work. It's just if you pick Xayah here and they go long range on like they go Ezreal on AD carry, Orianna mid lane, and you have a crazy guy, Lux on support, like how are you gonna like hit them? You pick Xayah if you see in the draft that they have a lot of assassins and or a lot of champions that go in like maybe this composition. You see, this is when you pick Xayah. But Xayah blind pick is okay. I would say it's better than Vayne, but it's not really the best pick in the world. So you want to pick the champion based on the matchup of AD carry. So say you see in the enemy team Caitlyn, so you have to play with what you see in the draft. So right now, if they have Caitlyn, I cannot pick Vayne. I cannot pick really a champion that is like really weak in the early game like Twitch. I could pick Tristana if I really wanted, because I can jump in her head. Draven is always okay. Ashe is really good. Jinx is really good. Kalista if I have an engaged support. But all in all, if I see Caitlyn, the problem is that you could pick Vayne here against Caitlyn, but the problem is something else. The problem is, what if they pick Lux here or Senna here? Your Vayne is screwed. So you're always thinking about, okay, this is the Caitlyn, but what is the worst case scenario? Because if you're a Vayne player, you're gonna say, bro, but I'm not scared of Caitlyn. I'm more scared of like Senna or, you know, and I agree. That's why you don't pick Vayne like into Caitlyn. You're always like, hey, they have Caitlyn, but they can pick like a worse pick here. So maybe I should go Varus. Maybe I should go Varus because Varus is really good into Caitlyn, or Ashe or Jinx. Because if you pick Varus, even if they pick Senna, you have a chance to win. Same thing with Jhin, same thing with Jinx, same thing with Aphelios, same thing with Ashe. So these champions are good based on the enemy AD carry pick. You always expect the worst. When you draft, expect the worst, okay? And don't try to just pick a champion that is, you know, okay, I'm gonna pick this champion because it's so good in the draft. Do you play him? Well, yeah, I can play every AD carry. Okay, so when is the last time you played Jhin? I played it in season 2 when I was starting to play. This was my first champion. Okay, just play your 3 champs, okay? It's better than, so rather to pick Aphelios. So let's say Ashe. Let's say you actually analyze this pick, and let's say Ashe is a 9 pick, and let's say Ezreal right here is like a 7 pick. I would choose the one that I'm better on, because rather than first timing Ashe and choosing a champion that is 9 and performing like a 2, I would rather pick a champion that is 7 and perform it like a 9, you know? So it's better to just pick a champion that is reasonable in the matchup, you know, and that I can play without handicapping myself. I mean, now if you say, yo, but I'm main Vayne, so should I first time Ashe or should I just play Vayne? Well, in that case, I'll try to expand the champion pool a little bit if it's possible, so you can have an extra champion. But yeah, all in all, I would rather than having a really huge counter pick like Jinx or Ashe, I would try to play my Aphelios that I'm really fucking good on him. I know that it's okay into Caitlyn. It's not amazing, but I know I can play him good. So I wouldn't really stress too much about counter picks. I would stress more about, do I know how to play this champion insanely ooga booga aggressive and good? And if that's the case, sure, I mean, you can do it. The next one is picking on your support. So yes, we can pick for the enemy AD carry, but you also need to pick for your support. So let's say you see a Caitlyn, so they have a, like you basically see here, let's see. So let me just show you guys. So against a Caitlyn, you cannot pick Twitch, you cannot pick Vayne, you cannot pick Zion. Zeri is okay, I would say it's like, okay, Sivir is fine, it's okay, Samara is okay, but not to, okay, so Caitlyn allows you, like she basically made you not be able to pick a few champs. And we actually put it on the list right now. Braum right here, he also did the same thing. Braum, you can't really play, like say, okay, maybe this is not a Braum, but let's say you have a Janna, okay? A Janna, like she already made you not be able to pick some champs. For example, Janna Kai'Sa is quite weak. You don't have setup, you can go AP if you really want it. It's not the worst possible, but into the Caitlyn, it's a bit weak. And with the Janna, it's a bit weak, so I wouldn't recommend it. Kalista without engage support is pretty bad. Kog'Maw with Janna and not Lulu is pretty bad. Lucian into Caitlyn is very bad, and Janna doesn't help him. If it was a Nautilus here, and then they have Caitlyn, you could pick Lucian. So you see, I'm thinking about, okay, they pick Caitlyn, what champion I'm not able to play into Caitlyn, and what champions is Janna like forcing me to play here. So Janna Zeri is reasonable, Janna Varus is reasonable, Varus is okay into Caitlyn for sure, and decent with the Janna as well. Samara with the Janna is okay, it's just Samara into Caitlyn is very bad, so I wouldn't really pick this. Nila with Janna is decent, but Nila into Caitlyn is pretty bad, so I don't pick this. Jinx is fine with Janna and fine into Caitlyn. So you see what I'm trying to do? I'm trying to pick a champion that is both good with Janna and good into Caitlyn. It is that simple, okay? It is that simple. Same thing right here. And be very careful because this can change a lot. So for example, if I have a Braum and I don't know the enemy AD carries, I can pick a blind AD carry, like a pick that is like good in terms of blinding, but at the same time, I can pick a champion that is a little bit not so blind pickable. So for example, if I have a Braum here and I don't know what they're gonna pick, they could pick like a very, like a Caitlyn, Senna kind of champion. They can pick like super aggressive. So I'm like, okay, I could pick, let's say I could pick a blind pick like Caitlyn, which is really good, or Ashe. Let's say if I see Caitlyn in the enemy team. But at the same time, I can also go Lucian. Oh, coach, but didn't you say that Lucian is bad into Caitlyn? Well, I said. But the thing is, when you see the Braum, you also have to kind of think about the synergy. So what I'm saying is basically, if you don't see anyone in the draft, you should just pick the best blind pick. But if you see something in the draft, and you're like, oh, I have Braum, but they might have the worst possible matchup, you don't necessarily need to just go for the best blind pick ever. You can go for a champion that is okay blind pick, but really good with your support. So for example, if I pick Lucian or Ezreal here, they're very, very good. Why? It's because they have great synergy with the Braum, and no matter what they pick here, the lane is playable because your synergy is good. So if you don't have information in the draft, I would just play the best blind pick. But if you have some information in the draft, like you know your support, you should play around him. And same thing if you see the enemy bot lane, you can just play around that. So for example, if I see Caitlyn and I have Lulu Braum, let's say I have Lulu or Braum. So in this case, I could pick Varus because Varus is good into Caitlyn, but also good with Lulu. Varus also is fine with Braum, but also good into Caitlyn. Jinx is good with Lulu or with Braum, depending on what my support decides to pick, also good into Caitlyn. So you guys kind of understand the concept. And so pick a champion that is good with your support and good against the enemy laner. It doesn't have to be a 10 out of 10 against Caitlyn, 10 out of 10 with your support, but if it's a 7 or 8 out of 10, like pretty good against enemy Caitlyn and pretty good with your Braum, you should be good to go. And of course, when challenger players pick, they also pick based on the team composition. So they think, what do we need in this composition? Do we need engage? Do we have a tank? Do the people come into us? Do we need to kite back? So for example, here, Yasuo, Nafari, Sejuani, Aatrox, pick Xayah, instant pick, like insta-lock, right? So, or Ezreal, even Ezreal is like really, really good right here because you can kite back very, very easy. So you see, like people, it's so hard to say, okay, but how should I decide? You know, how should I? You decide on AD carry, enemy AD carry, and enemy support and your support. After that, you have to kind of have a champion that is also good into the enemy composition and with your composition. So the simple answer is think about everything, right? But the most important thing, I think, it's the matchup that you have, enemy matchup, and your support. And after that, just try to pick a reasonable pick into the enemy champions that you play against, right? Because you might have, oh, you know, besides I picked Thresh and I saw Thresh and I picked Kalista insta lock, even though I saw that I have a matchup that is like quite bad, like Caitlyn. I know that Kalista Thresh is very doable into the Caitlyn, so I know that they have Caitlyn Ashe, so they have a lot of poke, we can snowball, but the problem is that I don't know what to do because my champion is very bad into the enemy team. They have a Lissandra onto the mid lane, and other than that, not only that they have a Lissandra on mid lane, but they also have a Vi, which is absolutely unplayable for me, but also they do have a Camille that is unplayable for me. So should I really pick Kalista here? Not really. Not really. So look, if they have also Nautilus, it's like a pain. So it is true that you have to pick on the matchup, but you also have to think about the enemy composition, you know? You also have to think about the enemy composition. Like, look at this. Here I wouldn't pick Kalista. What would I pick? Maybe Sivir, maybe a champion that can buy Edge of Night against this, maybe Ezreal, because they have so much engaged, maybe Xayah. So you also think about the enemy. So 1, think about the enemy matchup. 2, think about your support. 3, think about the whole composition of enemy team. 4, think about the composition of your team. So for example, if your teammates, so for example right here, let's look at this. Let's see if we find a good example. Okay, so let me see. Yeah, right here, look. They have Sion, Lilia, Karma, Ezreal, Xerath. Okay? So in this case, instead of picking Ezreal, you could say, okay, I need to pick a champion that is really good into enemy team, but we kind of have no engage. I guess you can argue they have the Sion ulti, but let's say, just for the sake of argument, that they have something like action on top. So here they lack engage, right? If they lack engage, you can pick something like Varus or Ashe. Why? It's because your team composition needs engage. But more importantly, you need to make sure the champion is good into enemy team. So Ashe here into Malphite is suicidal. It's Jarvan as well, Katarina as well. So you have to, Varus is better, you can go Halo Blades, and you can go even AP against Malphite. So you can just play around that. But again, this is the last thing that you need to think about, your composition as well. Again, challenger players, they think about everything. But if you are lower than master tier, most important is your matchup on bot lane, enemy support, and again, enemy and your allied support. And of course, the jungle also sometimes matter. If you have like a really good pressure jungle like Lee Sin, you pick Kalista, or you pick like very volatile champions. But this is more complex information and it's like for Grandmaster and higher. The next chapter is about champion mastery. You need to understand the champion abilities, the range, the cooldown, and the damage potential, and you need to track these abilities. Obviously, in the next part, we're also going to talk about power spikes in terms of levels and in terms of item completion. These are the 2 power spikes that I need to really think about. This is important. If you want to be a good laner and know your matchup, you need to be able to understand the range, the cooldowns, and the damage potential of both your bot lane champions, but also enemies. I say both, obviously, because as I said in other videos, you want to be a good AD carry. Guess what? You need to also have a good understanding of the support as well. And I don't mean only your support, but also enemy. What is he able to do? How should he play? How is he supposed to do? What can he do based on the champion that he plays? What are the most abilities that you need to think about when it comes to the enemy support? Maybe it's a Blitzcrank. Ooh, you didn't know about the hook. But maybe it's also a champion like Brand. Do you know the cooldown of the W Brand? Is it important to know it? It is insanely important to know it, or at least to roughly speaking know it, because if you want to play around it, if you want to win the lane and actually go for those windows when you can trade, and if you don't know the cooldown, you're gonna lose the lane, or at least you're not gonna win it too hard. So what do I need to know? You need to know the range of your abilities, the range of enemy abilities, and here I'm talking especially the most important abilities that the enemy has. So for example, if you see a Zyra, we know that Zyra has the E. The brand has the W. Also, knowing a little bit about the brand Q or brand E can help you, but most importantly, you kind of need to know the important abilities of the champions that you play against, okay? So it's that simple. So the cooldowns, of course, you need to have a rough idea about them. You don't need to be like, okay, you know, ZQ is 6 seconds, the REQ is 7 seconds, Victor Q is 9 seconds. Okay, you don't need to know that. You're not a coach or anything, okay? So you just need to know roughly speaking. So if someone asks you, hey, what is the cooldown of Blitzcrank? You need to be able to know, well, Blitzcrank, it's around 15 to 20 seconds. Well, it's actually 20 seconds, you know, but it's good that you said around 15 and 20 seconds. So if I ask you what is the cooldown of, let's say, the pike hook. So pike hook is around 10 seconds, okay? So if you say that is around 20 seconds, then it's bad, because that means you're basically, you're over respecting the pike. So that is not, well, you're under respecting him actually, because you think that it has 20 seconds when he only has 10 seconds. Same thing against the Ashe W, that is 18 seconds. You're gonna be like, oh, Ashe has no W, let me punish her. But maybe you think that Ashe W is 6 seconds or 5 seconds or 8 seconds, and you actually have a bigger edge to go for a trade when they don't have abilities. That's basically what you wanna do. Perfect. This sounds really simple, right? Like, besides, come on, I know what Janna does. I know, like, come on, I know what Blitzcrank does. I know his cooldowns. This is obvious, right? Like, what the heck? Like, I know this. I'm in Emerald, you know, or I'm in Gold. It's obvious. I know what these champions do. Of course, I don't know everything about the champions, but I know what support does. Well, this might be true, and this might look obvious. I'll show you why it's not. Say, for example, you play against Zyra, and let's say you know the cooldown of the E, which is 12 seconds. Obviously, if you want to play lane against Zyra, you kind of need to know the cooldown, because if she uses it, you want to be able to like punish her, either by walking up and hitting her, or just trying to play more aggressive by hitting the wave and trying to get the push. So what I mean here is that I want to ask you right here, what do you think the E range is of the Zyra? So I'm going to just use it right now, and you're going to tell me. So this one looks really obvious. Look at this. Boom. Easy peasy, right? If I go a little bit back, you would say, oh, it's easy, right? I know the E of the Zyra. It's so easy, you know? Look, so this range, you would say, most of the people will say here that, oh, okay, this is max range. The problem is that since not many people play support, they don't actually know the real range. The real range I'm going to show you right now is the following. Look at this. Do you see the range of the Zyra E actually? If you don't know this, you're going to play Twitch, you're going to actually play, okay, this is the very max range, but this is huge. Because this means if you're actually on the left hand side like this, and Zyra stays at the very extremity like this, she can hit you. And most of the AD carries that actually don't think about that. They're like, yeah, you know, Zyra has a root, right? I played in season 2 against her like 3 times, and you know, she has the root, right? I know. Yeah, but if you don't know the cooldown, it's gonna be very impossible for you to be able to play around the E, around the range and around the cooldown. So these are 2 things that you need to play around. 1, you need to play around the range, and 2, you need to play around the cooldown. If you don't know the cooldown, and again, as I say, I repeat, you need to know the cooldown roughly speaking. If you say it's 10 seconds and it's 12, that's fine. But if you say that, you know, Zyra is 5 seconds and it's actually 20, then you're in trouble. So you need to know a few very important cooldowns. And all as a rule of thumb, you can think about the Brand W or Zyra E, or like any abilities that actually are from a range support are around 10 to 12 seconds. And when it comes to the hookers like Nautilus or Pike, or usually they actually have a bit of a higher cooldown. So mages like Brand W or Luxie, we can see that they have a lot, like they have 10 seconds cooldown. The Q is also around 10 seconds, 11 seconds. We can see that Blitzcrank or champions that have a hook. So for example, Blitzcrank right here, he has 20 seconds. Thresh, he has 19 seconds. Pike is a bit more special. So Pike, I think he has around 10 seconds on the hook. Yeah, 10 seconds on the hook, so this is important. Also, if you think about Thresh, if he hits the hook, as you can see, if this ability hits the cooldown, it's reduced by 2 seconds. I don't know if it's actually true here on the UGG. I usually just look on wiki lol. I knew that it's actually 3 seconds, it's not 2 seconds, but maybe I'm wrong. Okay, by 2 seconds, I see. So that's 2 seconds if you hit it. It's good to like kind of know this because it can help you. It was actually 3 seconds. I think it was nerfed like 4 patches ago or something, like 5 patches ago or something. So you need to know, roughly speaking, the cooldown of the champions. And of course, like hook also, like for example, Nautilus is between Pike and Thresh. Thresh is 19, Pike is 10 seconds. Nautilus has a 14 seconds cooldown. So there is that. But knowing these abilities is really important. Another cooldown is Varus, that not many people actually know. That it's actually pretty good range. Like, look at this, look at this. This is actually quite good range. You probably knew this, right? Like, you probably knew, okay, I kind of know this, you know, it's max range, it's max range. Well, yeah. The thing is, if you haven't played Varus, you won't actually know that it's actually a lot bigger than you think. So as you can see right here, it's not very, as you guys can see right here, so if you didn't know this Varus ulti range, then this probably knows that there are so many things that you don't know about the cooldowns and the ranges of the champions that is just holding you back from winning the laning phase. So if you feel like you're the kind of player that doesn't have a good lane or can't really play the matchups very well, this is one thing that can actually hold you back. So really important, if you want to get better at this, try to get maybe a little bit of time per day to play other champions and other roles. So for example, if I'm on main Draven, then I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm playing only Draven, you know, it's good because I'm gonna climb faster maybe, but at the same time you need to have a reasonable knowledge about the other champions in the game. If you don't have, then that's gonna be hard to actually win the lanes against a Varus if you don't know the range of the Varus. And best case scenario, if you want to be a one-trick pony, or if you want to like be a well-rounded player while also being a one-trick pony, I would actually play some normal games on support and on new AD carry. So say I'm a Draven main, I will play some Varus, I will play some Lucian, I will play some other things. Another thing that people actually don't know is the Ashe ultimate hitbox. So this ultimate is quite easy to use, and if you play Ashe, this can actually help you a lot. So this is pretty simple, right? But did you know that you can actually use it like pretty close to the target like this and still hit it? Like the hitbox is very stupid, especially on skins like Project, but on anything, look at this ultimate. Do you see this? So if you don't know, if you don't play some of the champs, look at this ulti for example. It actually shows that it doesn't hit. Look at this. Look at my cursor. Like, okay, just this one didn't hit, but if I just go a little bit closer like this, it looks like it doesn't hit. It looks like it doesn't hit, but it actually does hit. Look at this. I'm trying to go very wide. Okay, let's see how much. Okay, only this one. Okay, super close. Okay, look at this. So this, you kind of have to play some Ashe to kind of like get the feel of the hitbox. And if you play Draven, if you play Vayne, if you're the kind of guy that listens to these coaches that say, oh, play one champion, if you play only one champion, you're gonna climb so much, just do one champion. It's like, yeah, so how am I gonna know these things? How am I gonna know the cooldowns of the other champions? How am I gonna know the hitbox? How am I gonna know all of these things? Because in order for me to play only Draven and climb to Challenger or Master or Grandmaster or whatever, Gold, let's say, I need to also be able to tell a few things about the other champions. So I need to have a very well-rounded way of seeing the game. So how can you do that if you just play one champ? And obviously, if you lack knowledge, especially on support, you're gonna die a lot in the lane. Okay, sure, if you don't know AD carry, you might just go for some bad trades. But if you don't know support, it might be just very, very hard. So look at this. So I might know that the Nautilus hook is just, well, Nautilus hook. I might know the range, but you have to know a little bit more than just the basics. Like, look at this hook, for example. Do you see that it actually hits? And we can also see a little bit of this one. Look at this. So this one, as you can see, it doesn't hit, but look at the hitbox. You see this? Look at the hitbox. So I can actually hit it a little bit close to the guy and I still hit it. What does it mean? That means very simple that if you're actually staying close to a minion, there is a chance that he's still gonna get to you. So for example, right here, if I angle it like this, look at this. I actually go for the backline target. So if this was a minion, he's gonna get you. Is this niche? It is niche and it is very like small, and you know, maybe Grandmaster players know this. But what I mean is that this kind of thinking, as you guys can see the hook, this kind of thinking of, oh, I know what the support does, it's like it might actually hold you back, especially if you don't know these little things that can matter in some situations. They can actually make the difference. And look at this range, for example. Look at this. So now, look at this. Do I hit this? I don't. But if I go just a little bit more like this, I have a very, okay, this is like the max range. Look at this. Whoop. You see? Kinda need to know this though. You wanna play the carry? Kinda need to know this. So what should I do? Play more flex. When you play with your friends, just play other role. No need to play the carry. Just play other roles. Learn these things. You're gonna become such a smart AD carry if you just learn these kind of things. Just a little bit like a different approach, right? Just a bit of a different approach. Like play different roles in order for you to learn more about the game, which is actually gonna translate into being a better AD carry. I'm going to show you an example to actually show you and showcase what I mean. So in this specific situation, we have here a Janna player, okay? So this guy right here, he has a Jinx, which is significantly stronger than a Zeri. A Zeri is like a 4 out of 10 early on. A Jinx is around an 8. She's extremely strong because she has range advantage and she does have more wave clear, more range, more damage than Zeri early on. And Yuumi, of course, she's like a 3 out of 10. Janna is usually around the 6 out of 10 if she doesn't have Comet. If she has Aerie, if she has Comet, 8 out of 10. If she has Glacial, she's like a 3. She doesn't really do much damage. But definitely we can say that Jinx with 8 to 9 compared to Zeri that is like a 5 in the lane, compared to Yuumi that is 2 and Janna is 6. Either ways, this composition is much better in the early game. So they are looking to walk up here. So we can see that right now Jinx is trying to get the push, which is normal. And then right here, we can say that the minions right here are coming very soon. And what the Janna should do is that she should be able to assess the fact that they are actually very weak. They can't really do anything because of the champions that they play. They are extremely handicapped in this specific lane. So what Janna is supposed to do right now, she's supposed, as the minions are walking up like this, she's supposed to walk up and try to punish. So we shouldn't really be looking to do anything else. We should just be looking to punish. Why? It's because the Zeri, she can't really do much other than just queuing like this, and the Yuumi, she is only be able to just queue like this or like this. But since Janna is positioning very good in between the minions, she's not able to get hit. Of course, we also see the jungle right there onto the river, so he should anyways cover this side. But we don't really talk about positioning here. Here we talk specifically about the matchup. How should he play and how is she supposed to play here? Let's see what Janna is actually gonna do in this specific case, and let's see. So she's clicking back, so I already see that this guy is not a grandmaster player. Just one click she does is like, okay, this guy doesn't know the matchup. He didn't play AD carry. I see. So he didn't play Zeri, he never played Yuumi, maybe he never played Jinx, he doesn't know how this lane works. So this click is already, and this 99.9% of the players, they click back like this. Maybe you can watch your own gameplay to see, maybe you can like see this to you can definitely notice this. So look at the Janna right here. These clicks are absolutely garbage. Look at this. Zeri only has this range. Yuumi is useless. If she stays here, it's useless. Jinx, that is a higher elo player. She's like walking up. And right now, look at the Jinx right here. She's also clicking back a lot. Look at the Janna clicking back as well. Jinx is clicking back as well. So this is absolutely horrible. Horrible. Look at the Janna clicking right now. She's just walking up. This is the first situation and instance when she's actually walking up when she should have walked up. Guess the rank of this player? The rank of this player is 374 LP master, and guess what? He was a little bit close of grandmaster. He was 500 LP. So this, if this happens to this guy, that he had the Jinx that was grandmaster or master, like pretty high elo, you would say like, oh bro, I'm emerald, you know, this guy is bad, you know, I'm just better. Well, I guarantee you you do this even worse than this guy does, right? And these mistakes are extremely big if you want to be very good in the laning phase. The simple way of seeing the cooldown is this, in this first example displayed very well. So here we're playing Xayah with Pyke against Samara and Karma. Samara and Karma, it's pretty okay lane. Karma is actually going to stay into this brush. They're pushing into us. So let's see what Pyke is going to do. He's actually trying to fire the hook. He tries to fire the hook. The Karma just dodged it. She was respecting the hook. She was actually playing right here at the extremity of the brush because she knew that the Pyke can actually go for the hook. She didn't really stay here. She respected, but the moment he actually missed the hook, we see that the clicks of these master tier players are above. What does it mean? This means that if Pyke doesn't have a hook, they know that they have a 10 seconds window that they can go for trades. Look at this Karma right here. You see how confident she's playing? She's playing like super close to the extremity of the tower range. And what am I doing after he misses the hook? Well, what can you do? We have nothing. So I'm just respecting the mantra Q because I know that she might have it. I'm playing pretty safe. And now I'm just looking to farm into the tower. After that, the Pyke is walking up again. I'm trying to walk up with him. I'm hovering him. He walks up right here. He misses the hook again. And then guess what I'm gonna do? Look at my clicking. I'm like, okay, he missed the hook. Let me hover him. Let me stay close to him. But I'm just gonna play very slow. So right here, The reason why Karma is not walking up is because even though she knows she wins really hard, she doesn't actually know where is the enemy jungle. As we can see here, since Lee Sin is recalling, Belvec could just be very unlucky right here, or even worse, maybe behind. So Karma is very cautious in terms of the enemy jungle. But this is the concept. Enemy used an ability, you can walk up and you can try to punish. Same thing right here. We have no hook. Karma steps into the brush. Why? It's because she knows that if we have no hook, she has a 10 seconds window to trade. Simple, right? Now we're going to go into the example of, hey, I know that because of the matchup that we're playing, I basically have a significant advantage that I can exert it on the enemy team, so I can walk up by default. No, I don't need to wait them use any ability. No, I don't need to wait them to use anything really in lane. Just by default, I have a better lane. And these lanes are usually shown to you by having more range, more all-in potential, or simply just being much stronger. So for example, if you play Yuumi and you have a Yasuo, or like even Alistar with Yasuo, and you play against a Caitlyn, this is a very easy matchup that you can just walk up level 1. You don't need to do anything crazy. Realistically speaking, if you think about Yasuo and the Alistar, they're completely useless level 1. So what the Caitlyn and Karma will do, they will not wait Yasuo to waste anything on, or like Alistar to waste Q. They know that they are pretty weak. So what they will do is that they will just zone level 1 without even touching the wave. They will try to be into the brush and they will try to zone them. Alistar can't really do much other than like trying to flash Q and force them out of the lane. So this example we can see right here when they play Tristana with Alistar against Senna. The reason why they actually lost this really hard is because they leash. So as we can see right here, they have significantly less power. Why? It's because of the laning phase matchup. No, these challenger players, because this is like rank 10, best Tristana, challenger 1500 LP, so it's high elo, but they can't really do much, right? Because Senna knows, hey, I don't need to actually wait that Q Alistar to be hit. All what I have to do is simply, I have to zone them because they have really low range. And this can happen a lot if you have a lot more range. You don't need to necessarily, oh, let me wait them to use something. Not really. You don't need to wait them to use any ability. And there are a lot of lanes where you have significantly more range and you don't even need to push like they did here. You don't even need to push. All what you do is, as you can see, you're just walking above the wave like this and you're just zoning them. So that's basically the best thing that you can do. Of course, you also do that if you have a very strong matchup level 1 and they have really weak matchup. So for example, if you play against a Twitch and you play Kalista Blitzcrank, you can do exactly the same thing. Not because you have a range advantage, just because if the Blitzcrank hooks the Twitch, it's just gonna be over. Kalista being the best champion in the level 1 all-in DPS fight department. So basically you have the situation where they use one ability, then you walk up, you try to punish, they use one important ability. You need to know the cooldown and you need to track that ability. But second situation is by default, because of your champions are stronger in the all-in department or range department, you can just walk up on them, or you can just exert the pressure on them without anything being used in the lane phase. This is what I call the power spike of range, or the power spike of the matchup, like you having the range by default, or you having the advantage by default. The next power spike that I'm going to display to you is the power spike. This is the next strength or the next advantage that you can have. So if we go on slow motion right here, we can see a Twitch that has the Bork, and the Kai'Sa is significantly weaker. Significantly weaker means she has no quiver and she has the boots. So right now, Lulu being level 6, Twitch being having the Bork here, look at what Twitch is doing right here. So this, we're actually seeing that he's playing safe. And here, I was in the coaching session and I told him, hey, why are you playing safe? You have such a good buy that if you're gonna take a fight, especially with the Lulu ultimate, this is gonna be unwinnable for them. And I said, just go in, like tank the minis, it doesn't matter, you're so much stronger. Look at the items, she has Berserker, Skull, Longsword, Dagger, Potions, useless. You have Lulu ulti, it's impossible. Even 2v3, they had Rengar and like, they were like, oh, but what if Rengar kills me? You win, you have flash, you have ulti, you have everything. And here, look what happened here. And they were playing really safe, really safe. And if he played better with the kiting, he kite away of the brush right here on the left so he can't jump, or he lets the Rengar jump on the Lulu, they just get the 2v3. So the next power spike, the next the next concept is play around your power spike. Play around, press tab, see what items you have, see what items the enemy have, and play around that. So the power spikes can be item power spike. Hey, I have Bork and they have just no quiver, let's say. But it can also be level power spike, like Lulu level 6 is a strong one, Twitch level 6 is a strong one. Let's say on support you have this kind of like Seraphim level 6 is pretty important as well. So this supports like Alistar ultimate is a deal maker. So think about one, the item power spike, and two, the level power spike, right? And you kind of have to think about that in the champion select. You can, like in this matchup, for example, he's playing Twitch Lulu, so he has to be like, okay, item power spike, I have berserkers. If I have berserkers, I'm pretty strong. And item power spike can mean what items should I buy, and on Twitch is berserkers, on Aphelios is berserkers, on Zeri is berserker boots, but maybe on Caitlyn it could be Loon Quiver or other champions. So that's your power spike. But also you have to pay attention to the enemy power spike. Like if you have a bigger power spike than they have, you can consider fighting. If you have the level power spike, which level 6 Twitch and level 6 Lulu is there, boom, you can take a fight very, very easy. This sounds very simple, but below Grandmaster, very rarely I see people, they get in the lane, they immediately check the power spike of the enemy AD carry, and they think, hey, how much gold did they spend? How much gold am I actually ahead? Because usually the scoreboard doesn't really tell you how much gold you're ahead. It just tells you, you know, okay, how many kills you have. But actually, gold is one of the most important things. Like the difference between the gold that you have and the gold that they have is one of the most important things when you're taking a fight. And if you just look at the scoreboard, I can be 1-0, you can be 1-0, but you can be 400 gold up on me. Maybe we got a shutdown, or maybe you just have more farm. It sounds simple, but you really have to play around that, because if you like, all what you have to do to be able to be exact in your judging department on, hey, how much gold did I spend? How much gold did they spend? You need to look at the items. You need to press tab to count the items. You kind of need to know, hey, how much does this item cost, and you make a little bit of math there. And if you know you're stronger, then you should actually look to fight. I see a lot of people, they just play too safe, or the opposite. The enemy has a power spike and they play so aggressive below master tier. This is all over the place on, I feel like, on most of the AD carries. The next power spike that is actually quite simple but very underrated is the minion power spike. So if the level and item power spike is quite easy to actually play around, the minion power spike is even easier. So right now we can see that Ezreal right here, he's actually having a pretty good wave right now, 3 minions, but the enemy has 3 minions as well, right? So right now we can see that Ezreal immediately walked up just because he sees that Kalna just took the minion, the cannon right there. So he has one more cannon, one more minion here that is significantly making a difference for him. So right now he is on aggressive mode. Aggressive mode means that because of the fact that he has more minions, he can just look to trade, okay? So right now we can say that the Ezreal has agency. Agency means that he's supposed to trade, and not only that he's supposed to trade, he's in a position where the wave is actually helping him, or is putting him in an advantageous spot, since again he has more minions. So right now he should be playing aggressive. So this clicking back is kind of weak here. He's moving in. Kai'Sa is backing off because she knows, hey, Ezreal has the push, he has the upper hand, he has the agency. I'm not going to walk up. So right now this is what Ezreal is doing, right? He's going to play really good around the wave. He shouldn't be pushing right here. He should be just zoning. It's good that he's actually positioning himself with the camel just in case she walks up. So right here he's walking up with the Ezreal. He's playing much better here. And then the camel, of course, they are punishing. Ezreal is using the Q to keep the passive right before he actually goes in, because he wants to get the minimum 1 stack of passive. And then of course camel is like, hey, I'm gonna play aggressive, I have the wave. So if they want to trade, I mean, we're not going to take too many minions, we're not going to tank too many minions, and if they want to trade here, we also have our own minions. So Nami, unfortunately, this is a diamond, like high diamond to low master player. Nami didn't know that. Nami never played AD carry, so she doesn't know that, hey, now we're supposed to play safe. Wave is coming to us. There's no reason for us to walk up. Like, look at the Kai'Sa right here. The moment the Kai'Sa actually backed off, she backed off because of the wave. But Nami, and this is something, unfortunately, for like most of the Janna, Nami, Karma players, I don't want to say they're boosted, but they do very random stuff because they never played AD carry, so they don't know how AD carry works. So when you play Nami, if you really want to be a good Nami, you have to play AD carry. You have to know really well what the AD carry is supposed to do. And this is what happened right here. She immediately died. She got punished for it. So easy peasy, right? So we play around the minions, and then right here I just ping my jungle to dive, and then we just get we just completely zone them right here. This is like really good, and this was advantageous. She lost some experience, she lost some minions right here. That's how you play around your minions. You can also trade because you have a minion advantage, a minion lead. The next power spike is a little bit more complex, and this is a master tier coaching session. I think this guy was around 500 LP EU West. So he wanted to go towards Grandmaster, so then he booked coaching session. So this guy right here, he understands really well what Jinx does. She has a really much better laning phase. Jinx, from a scale from 0 to 10, we can say she's probably around the 8 in the laning phase. She's pretty strong, especially because there is a 5. So he has a lots of agency right here to just play super aggressive. So let's say Zeri is a 5, maybe even a 4. She doesn't have much wave clear unless she is the wave. And then Jinx is a bit like a 8, maybe a 9 against a Zeri. Thresh is definitely strong for sure. He's like a 8 as well. He does have Aftershock, but he's against Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank is the best champion in the game against Thresh. So Blitzcrank is 9 to 10. So they are significantly stronger in the lane, more range, more damage, more DPS, more wave clear, so much better. So right here, we're gonna see something that it will happen in Grandmaster and Master tier. So right now, Jinx has to get priority, but realistically speaking, she should be zoning the Zeri most of the cases. She should be clicking on the Thresh to see if he has E or if he has hook. Here he has E. So this will mean that she can play just she doesn't necessarily need to be behind of the minions, and she can play pretty aggressive because the E range is quite short. And right here, the Blitzcrank misses the hook, so now you would say, oh yeah, okay, so now unfortunately the Jinx has to back off, right? Not really. So now, because of they are so much stronger early on, the Jinx is keep pushing, and she's not really actually taking the bait of an Emerald player that says, oh, we have no hook. No. Thresh has Flay, and Zeri is useless level 1. So you can still play aggressive. Did you guys see what he reacted? How he reacted? The moment Blitz hits the hook, if this was a Tristana or a Draven with a Nautilus or someone that can actually all in a level 1, then he would have backed off instantly. But the reason why he doesn't back off right here is because he knows what Thresh does. He can play around his minions, and Zeri early on is so weak that he knows that Thresh can't just walk up and use the Flay. So this is the matchup, right? So this rule, so oh, the coach told me that if we use one ability, you know, we need to walk up, or everything has an exception, okay? So in high elo is about using the fundamentals and understanding the exceptions. That's high elo. Okay, so if someone tells you, hey, get the bot tower first and then go mid lane after, you always have to group after the tower, or hey, never go top if you are AD carry because you're gonna be against Malphite with 3 levels, or hey, look to trade when you're playing with the if you're playing against a Blitzcrank and he just used the hook, just look to trade. Everything has an exception, but first, if you want to get to Diamond or to Master tier, you have to know the basics. You have to know the basics, and basics are going to get you to Master tier, and then after Master tier, still the basics are going to get you to GM or Challenger, but there are going to be more exceptions. And the thing that you might say, oh, you know, but isn't AD carry supposed to, you know, group mid after the tower or stuff like that? They won't really be so relevant, because in high elo everything is adaptable. Like we see right here, the rule of thumb in laning phase was, hey, someone uses the ability, especially if it's a hook, it's a 20 seconds hook, we need to go for the trade, right? Not really. There are exceptions in League of Legends, and in order for you to know these exceptions, in order for you to understand these exceptions, you have to play more support, of course. You have to play also AD carry, but most importantly, you have to know the basics very, very well. Other than these examples that I showed you right here, there are 3 more situations when you can consider trading or playing more aggressive or less aggressive based on your resources. Obviously, your mana and HP can be a big factor on should I trade, should I not trade. If you have a significant HP lead or mana, obviously that would be a valid reason to just back off. For example, in this specific case, we can see this guy is low elo, is gold. And here he was just, oh, I'm gonna take this wave and I'm gonna recall right away because they have more HP than me. Well, in this specific situation, he has only 500 gold, so he should never recall here. He's not diveable, he's not killable into the tower. Yes, he's gonna miss some minions, but if he recalls right here, he's gonna miss a lot more minions. He should never recall right here, so he was too scared. Yes, if the Ezreal was like completely full HP, or he has minimum half mana and the Karma is full HP, or we're talking about level 6, so the chances of getting dove right here is really high, then he should just recall instantly based on that. Or maybe if the enemy jungle was shown right here on the word and he recalls or he leaves the tower, that'd be a valid reason, but not in this case where they are also low. They also have a little bit, just bit of mana. The chances of him getting dove is small, let alone the fact that his jungle is also going to scatter. So this is a horrible decision making. He just overestimated the enemy based on this resource factor, which is mana and HP. Second of all, the jungle that is basically around you. So right now, if Jinx wants to walk up, she can, because the Elise can actually be behind. Of course, be very careful in solo queue that sometimes when jungle is actually here, you're trying to bait and you get baited. Be very careful with that. And there is it's like, don't be too aggressive. And when you're trying to walk up to tank a hook, just ping like minimum 2 or 3 times so Elise can actually know that. Or maybe you can type to her, hey, I will bait the hook, come Elise, just so you can make sure that she does it. And by the way, if she's a Raptor, that doesn't mean she's at bot lane. If she's a Krax, that doesn't mean you need to tank the hook. You need to make sure you do it when she's already there, right here, or even better here. So don't be too committed, because on AD carry, especially if you play something like Jinx, you can get one shot very easy. And also a valid reason would be the opposite aspect, where your jungle is top lane here. You see the Xin Zhao on top lane, he's doing void links. You shouldn't be walking up or trading here, because we don't know where is the jungle. So he could just be bot lane behind you, or he could just be mid lane, we don't know. But you don't want to flip a coin here. Like, you just want to play safe. The guy is going to take the void links, he's going to recall, he's going to go past the bot lane. And if you try to fight at that exact time when he's top and you're weak side, you're just going to get traded, you're just going to get dove, you're just going to get... So all what you have to do in this specific case based on the jungle is play safe. Why? It's because you're weak side, and that's the best way of playing the game consistently. How can I be more consistent? If you want to be more consistent, you want to take decisions that will make your gameplay consistent. That you want to take decisions that will work every single game. And this decision of Ezreal playing safe when his jungle is top lane, that's the best decision here. Wave management is another crucial aspect to master if you want to be good as a laner. Concept number 1. The first 3 waves are the same in 99% of the cases. As a rule of thumb, pushing is majority of the cases better than letting the wave to come into you. Again, I'm talking about the first 3 waves. Pushing does not mean hard shoving. Let me crash the wave into the tower. Only in some specific situations that I'm going to show you very soon. Play around your support as well, if it's a melee or if it's a range, but also keep an eye on enemy support and AD carry. Of course, here, this kind of rule, hey besides, should I just push every time in the first 3 waves? Is it that easy? I mean, okay, now I can get challenger. Not really. There are a lot of exceptions in League of Legends. This is why you can't use rules. You know, oh coach, but I need rules. I can apply and I can... League of Legends is all about... It's nothing close to I applied this rule and I win. Because all of the rules have so many exceptions that it's not very logical to make a rule that has like 10 exceptions. So for example, this kind of concept of the first 3 waves I want to get prior or I want to push has a few exceptions. 1, you can't contest the push because they have too much push power. Let's say you're losing the push and they have significantly more minions than you, and you see that you're actually losing the push, in which case you have to preemptively back off because you know they're going to get level 2 very soon. Or number 2, you will get poked excessively if you try to get prio. Say you play Lux against Lux and Senna, and you play a Twitch with Yumi. Obviously, you know what's going to happen if you try to walk up for the wave. Or 3, you can zone them by default anyways. Do it to some significant advantage that your champions have. Say you play against Yasuo and, for example, Alistar, and you play Caitlyn Lux. You don't need to push because you have push by default since you have the range advantage, right? And here I'm going to show you a few examples why I think that, okay? So the game that we're going to analyze is that we're going to analyze challenger games. So you guys are not going to be like, oh, but he's masters, or this guy is diamond, or he doesn't know what he's doing, right? We're only going to analyze like really high elo, okay? So this is, so we have comp in the enemy team on trash. So here, this is 1,500 LPO vest, top 10 players, something like this. So of course, there are a bunch of grandmaster, I think here. So what is comp going to do? What is this Kai'Sa going to do? Well, it's really simple. Like, they're going to try to get prio. Why? It's because, I mean, if you get prio, Nautilus can get level 2 advantage. If he gets level 2 advantage, Kai'Sa can all in. So what should he do right here? I mean, again, as you can see, Kai'Sa is looking to get prio. She's looking to hit the minions constantly. What does Ezreal do? He tries to contest it, right? But since he sees that the Kai'Sa is actually getting prio and he knows that Thresh is pretty weak early on compared to this matchup, Kai'Sa and Nautilus, they are just gonna be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna give prio. And Kai'Sa right now, all what she has to do is that she just needs to zone. She doesn't need to push. She just needs to stay into the brush or just try to pressure. And if Ezreal goes for some minions, she's just gonna look to punish. Nautilus stays into the brush. So Ezreal tried to get the prio. He couldn't get it. He saw he couldn't get it. Then he just backed off. Again, notice that he tried to get the prio. There are a lot of players that are like, wait, but if I play a matchup that, I can't get prio, should I still push? Yes, you should still try to get the push. And if you see that you're losing your HP for that, or enemy AD carry punishes you because they have a stronger matchup, then you back off like Ezreal. So best case scenario, you try to get the push like this Ezreal did. Of course, Kai'Sa is stronger early on with Halo Blades. Nautilus Kai'Sa is really strong as well matchup. Thresh level 1 doesn't really do much in this specific matchup. So Ezreal tried to get the prio, but then when he saw that, oh shit, never mind, I'm not getting prio here. Kai'Sa is like walking up on me. Nautilus is walking up. Of course, in a case where you're playing like Emerald or Gold or Silver or maybe low Diamond, even high Diamond, you might actually play against a Nautilus that is a bit more like, let's say he's positioning himself like really safe. And if he's positioning himself safe here, like in that case, then you just push the wave and you can potentially get level 2 with the Thresh and with the Ezreal. So don't be like, oh, we have a worse matchup, let me just give them the push. No, try to get it, and if you can't get it, you can get it, Same thing in the next example. We have Lulu here with Kog'Maw against Jinx Alistar. They both need to get prio, but we expect Alistar to not be able to prio the lane, because of course his Alistar is one of the weakest champions in the game. We see Lulu right here walking up really hard. She knows that she doesn't necessarily need to get the push. Since she has the range advantage on the Alistar, she just walks up really hard. Kog'Maw is walking as well up right here, so they just try to go all in. She actually went a little bit too deep. She was a bit cocky. I think she was lagging since she was AFK right here a little bit, but we can see that even though that happened, they are still coming up on top. So Jinx is really low, and we have to expect that Jinx is really low. Sorry, Jinx is low with 1 potion, okay? And Lulu is low with 2 potions and biscuits in her inventory. So what is the trade worth for? I mean, it's most likely worth for this team. Why? Is because 1, Kog'Maw is healthier than Jinx. Jinx only has 1 potion. 2, jungle, Gragas is pathing towards bot lane. Karthus is also kind of like a weak champion to really play in terms of like diving, so Gragas can probably just get level 3 with 3 camps and then immediately come to bot lane if he's like having good map awareness. So right now, all in all, it's pretty fine. It could also be decent-ish, like it's not horrible for the Jinx because Alistar has the passive, but it's going to be very difficult for her if she gets dove to play. So what did we see here? We saw that they tried to get the push, and the Lulu was like, wait, I don't need to get the push necessarily, like I just want to poke them anyways, even at level 1. And she was a bit too cocky, a bit too aggressive, but she still executed pretty well. And you guys can see that the rule that I said that don't push too hard is always shown right here. Of course, Karthus is again like a super high elo player. He came immediately, he saw that wave state. Unfortunately, the Gragas had to go mid lane because again, mid lane is also a bit of a iffy, really low players, and now this is so over for them because Karthus just came bot lane. He was also low, so now the Kog'Maw knows that the Jinx can't farm into the tower and he can just dive by himself since the Karthus can't really come. So yeah, the first 3 waves you really have to push though. So now we're actually going to take a look a little bit on the exceptions of the rule, okay? Super simple. So we see here, this is Korea and this is actually really high elo. What does really high elo mean? This is Challenger, okay? So look at the Varus. He's trying to get the push. He has a Maokai and he does have right here the Nautilus, okay? So he has Maokai and he has Nautilus. So what is going to end up happening is that it's going to work because it's a Graves and he thinks that Nautilus Kalista will get level 2 Graves. But this is just Challenger Korea. Don't stress too much about this because in Europe and in NA, they don't usually go for level 2 ganks. But in Korea, of course, it's like people are very crazy about these ganks. So now Varus is trying to get pushed, but then he realizes that, oh shit, they have Nautilus Kalista. They can level 1 all in. So I'm just gonna give up the push. This is one exception. He tried to get it, just expecting Nautilus to be like unhuman, expecting Nautilus to not know his limits and not know that he's actually supposed to walk up. And then he was like, okay, Nautilus is walking up, so what do? I just back off. So now he wasn't really so scared because he knows that Kalista needs these 3 minions. Remember that you get level 2 advantage if, well, you get level 2 if you get 9 minions on bot lane and 7 minions on mid lane or top lane. So 9 minions means the first minion wave and the first 3 waves, the first 3 melee minions of the next second wave. So these 3 minions, and he is the Kalista is level 2. So Varus is not very sad to stay into the wave because he knows Nautilus can't hook now. So then he just backed off immediately because, again, we're talking about level 2 Kalista with level 2 Nautilus, so he played safe. So this is one of the exceptions that you might have in your games, okay? So don't come to me and say, oh, besides, you teach me to push and I died level 1. No. This is not a rule. Again, I'm repeating, this is not a rule. It has so many exceptions. Same thing right here. Look at the Varus. So this is Pace versus a challenger Jinx player. So Pace is looking to get the push. As he's looking, remember that he does in between the poking that he has with Varus, because he has extra range with his E, he's also pushing, okay? So he's hitting the minions, so it does the 2 things at the same time. And as he's doing 2 things at the same time, he's also walking up on the Jinx, okay? He's also walking up on the Jinx right here, and he is looking to punish. Look at Pace right now. So he's getting the push, he's walking up onto the Jinx, he's trying to actually zone. At the same time, he's hovering his support. He stays the close positioning. We're going to talk very soon on how can you position it with your support. This is the easiest way to position it yourself. It's called proximity positioning, or positioning very close around your support. So proximity positioning is always good level 1, especially with the melee support. You can do also distance positioning, which is the parallel positioning, which you have to stay here. If you have a Karma and she can zone, and let's say Jinx is right here, you can zone from this angle, and Karma can zone from this angle. Again, that's parallel positioning, but this is a melee champion, so he can do proximity positioning, meaning that he just needs to stay around Nautilus. So as we can see right here, Pace tried his best to get the push, but he knows that Jinx has the rockets, so he's one of the best, if not the best champion to get the push level 1. I would say even more better than Sivir or other champions. And now poor Pace is like, okay, I tried to get prio, it didn't work, I tried to go for some trades. Now he's not super scared because he's just Tam Kenj, and when they're about to get level 2, he just backs off preemptively. Again, this melee minion, it had to die in order for them to get level 2 right here. The range minions, some of the range minions died here, but the range minions don't really give as much XP, so they needed like more range minions. So that's what Pace did. What did he do again? So first of all, as he was pushing, well, as he was zoning or trying to actually get an angle for his E, he was also pushing. As he was pushing, while again he was hitting the minions constantly, he also stayed closer onto his support, and at the same time he actually paid attention to the minions to see like what is the difference between the minions, or you know, how to really play around that, because the reason why you trade in the game, as we talked in the trading department, is because you have an advantage in some sort of range or in the minion department. So a reason that you can actually have to walk up is Nautilus uses the Q, so the tracking the ability reason, but you also have the reason of, hey, I have a bigger minion wave, I can trade. Like right here, for example, Jinx is on the agency rule. Agency rule means that because she has more minions, she can easily trade. So we can see this is a challenger player, he's looking to trade like this. He, of course, he knows that jungle is top lane, he knows that all of this, she doesn't need a ward, even though they have 2 wards and a pink ward, they know that they're just fine right here to pressure, and they don't need the ward. So all of these things, they are already thinking about, okay? So super important right here. The next situation, again, Korean challenger gameplay right here. We can see that they cheese level 1. Again, Varus, same thing. He's poking, and as he's poking, he's looking to push. But he's super strong because, again, we see that he's also utilizing the Halo Blades. He knows that the Nautilus early on, he's like an 8, but Karma is also like an 8. Zeri, though, she's like a 2, maybe a 3. But Varus, especially with Halo Blaze, he's minimum an 8. So they are significantly stronger right here. So we can see that Varus is looking to push, and as he's looking to push, he's also looking to trade. Zeri still is focused really hard. If you can see, Varus is pushing as he's trying to zone. As he's trying to zone, he's hitting the minions. Zeri, she's just like a robot pushing the minions, because she knows that with Zeri, all what you have to do is getting prio and playing around the wave. So she's avoiding with all costs to actually trade. Only she's gonna queue the minions a little bit to zone the Nautilus if she can. And now they have 1 minion advantage, and Nautilus actually starts W, like walks up on her and then zones her. We can see that base is constantly getting priority here. And another rule that you should really respect, and is very important, is the rule of pay attention to what the AD carried what the enemy AD carry does. And by that I mean the following. Remember the Ezreal matchup, the example that I showed you right here. So pay attention that the challenger player right here plays it extremely good, and by that I mean he's always paying attention to what Ezreal does as well. So he's pushing the wave, and as he's pushing the wave, he's looking that Ezreal is also pushing. Because of the fact that Ezreal is also pushing, he needs to get extra auto attacks on the minions. Because the reason he's doing right here is that he's trying to get a lead in auto attacks on the minions. He's trying to get a lead of minions, but that lead of minions he gets it through having more damage on the minions. Okay, so what he's doing is that the more Ezreal is hitting the minions, the more Kai'Sa is hitting the minions. If the Ezreal actually stops from hitting the minions because he gets zoned, or let's say he just backed off because Kai'Sa has significantly more minions, then the Kai'Sa also stops hitting. Look at this, Kai'Sa, he was hitting the minions a lot here, 2 times, 3 times. Ezreal also tried to get the push, but then when Kai'Sa realizes, oh shit, we are so much stronger with Nautilus, I need to stop pushing right now. There is no reason to fast push or hard shove. Once I get the priority, I can just look to zone. Just Ezreal can't really do much. Now they're also like gonna miss the experience. Did you guys see that? That minion died. It's a melee minion, and it's actually so crucial for you to zone when it comes to melee minions, because they're like super strong in terms of the XP. So right here, this is what Kai'Sa also did. Yes, you need to respect the minions, you need to walk up, you need to push as you zone, but at the same time you need to look at the enemy indicator to see how many auto attacks he's actually getting on the wave, and you need to match that. Challenger players, that's how they say it. They want to match the push. They will never tell you that they want to get priority. Is that they will just tell you, oh, I want to get control of the lane and control of the wave, and once I do it, I'm just gonna zone, like Kai'Sa does it right here. Obviously, as they're doing that, they're also matching the push if the matchup allows. Super simple, right? Now we're gonna explore a little bit of a range matchups right here. We have Gumayusi, Challenger, again, same pattern. We have double range right here with Varus and Ashe, really easy. This is a very crazy long range against a Kalista and Renata, so theoretically they should be zoning really hard level 1. They try to get the push, and now Varus and both Ashe has walking up and trying to utilize the W. The poor Kalista can't really do much here, as we can see. She just has to kind of give the push. She's trying to match the push right here. She's trying to push, but she knows she can't because the range advantage is just purely insane. Gumayusi right now, he just knows that he has the minute advantage. He has so much range, he can just walk up. He knows what Kalista does, he knows what Renata does, so he knows exactly the limits. So right now they will try to zone very hard. So this is not much really counterplay. We see that Jarvan is actually looking to gank right here. After the blue buff, Gumayusi just flashed out, and if we see what happened right here, they actually almost die here. So this is horrible. Now he lost his jungle, he lost his tempo with Jarvan, because Lee Sin is actually knowing what camps he has up. With Jarvan, he can just do he can always try to invade if he really wants it, because he has Prio on bot lane permanently. So Gumayusi now, he's not even pushing, he's just looking to zone right here. And the reason why he's crushing right now is because Lee Sin is just invading. So if Lee Sin wasn't really actually triggering the invade, he will probably stay here and look to just keep zoning. So this is what he does. Of course, if you play matchups that are like extremely hard to like win, let's say you play a Vayne with a Yuumi and you play against a Caitlyn and a Senna, it is true that most likely level 1 you're gonna get bullied. So what you can do, because in low elo it works, you don't leash and you go in the lane very easy, very early, and then you just start pushing, and you start pushing very hard. Like you just push, you crash literally the first wave. And this is the strategy if you play any lane, like Vayne against Sivir, Vayne against Caitlyn, Vayne against, you just try to perma shove, so they will never be able to push you, because if Caitlyn pushes you with Senna, you will be in trouble. So this is what, when I coach RTB here, this is what I told him. This is just an Emerald player game, so he's playing against a Caitlyn with a Zerat, not a balanced lane, and I told him he needs to push like a psycho. Look at this. So right now I told him push, and of course the Caitlyn just leashed, and he didn't leash, and we can see already how the laning phase is going. He will never be able to win against Caitlyn, and I just tell him I push, as long as you don't get ganked. In this case it was a very weak jungler early game, it was something like Shyvana, so there was not really threat here, so he shouldn't even ward in this specific case. So this is super easy. That's what you can do as well. If, like, again, right now RTB has 27 farm, Caitlyn has 19 farm, so it's Caitlyn Zerat against Vayne. So I don't know if you ever played this matchup, but it's like absolutely doomed if you lose the prio. Okay, So very simple, get the priority, get the push, and if you play a main matchup that you can't leash, then you can do that. Oh, I almost forgot. We need to actually take a look at when to leash and when to not leash. It's actually quite simple. If you have a Karma and you know you can abuse the laning phase, or you have a champion that you know can abuse the laning phase, if you have, like, let's say you play Twitch with a Karma, and you're thinking is like, oh, you know, let's not leash because I have a Karma, they have an Alistar, and I can help Karma to bully Alistar early on. Maybe I can ask my jungle, you know, to not leash, and we're gonna get a push, and Alistar is level 1, useless, as we all know. Easy peasy. But at the same time, if I'm Vayne, I say the same thing, but I actually mean it in the opposite way. If I don't leash as Vayne Alistar and we can get the push early on, then Karma will actually get zoned, or at least she won't be able to walk up on us and try to zone us. So if Vayne should ask the jungle to not leash, because she knows that if she leashes, the Alistar will actually be in trouble. So Twitch, if he's smart, he's gonna ask, hey man, can we not leash? We have Karma against Alistar, we can storm this lane level 1. But Vayne, she should ask, hey man, can we not leash? Because in this matchup we're gonna get zone level 1 if we do. Of course, this doesn't happen in Master, Grandmaster, Challenger. Actually, in low Master it does, and even in high Masters, because people are just not good enough to realize that they shouldn't leash. In Challenger, no one leashes, majority of the cases in these matchups. But if you play in like a normal silver, gold, emerald, you just have to be extremely polite with your jungle. Hey man, is it okay if we don't leash? We hard win, of course, or lose depending on what matchup you play. If you're Twitch here, you say you hard win because you have a Karma against an Alistar. But if you play Vayne, you say we hard lose the lane if we don't get prior. You know, that's basically what I need to say. And then thanks. And usually they will just say, they will think, right? Because they're like, I hate this motherfucker, I hate it. Ugh, I want the leash, but I don't want the Vayne that is 0-10. Just go. So usually they just say, just go. Again, with some exceptions, ask this in champion select or when the game starts. Don't ask him when he's at blue. The poor guy is at blue and you tell him, hey man, can we not leash? Like, now you tell me? Maybe I could have just started Raptors like a human, you know, or maybe Wolves or whatever, red buff, but don't tell him when it's there. So the leash can work if 1, you're polite, and 2, you're using it when you should use it. There are many matchups where you shouldn't use it. So let me just show you maybe on my account right here when you should and when you shouldn't. So look at this. So right here we have Alistar, Draven against the Varus that has Comet and Pike. Varus can zone us and we have Alistar level 1. That means we can't leash. Sorry Nidalee, we're not gonna leash. If I'm Varus, I don't leash because I want to bully Draven and I want to bully Alistar. But if I'm Draven, I'm not leashing because Alistar is really weak against the Varus and Varus can poke very, very hard. This one against Twitch, Camille against Nila, Brom, I mean, it's not like they zone us level 1. Maybe if they don't leash, they will get level 2 advantage, but in this case, we can leash at least. It doesn't really mean anything if we get prior level 1. We're not gonna all in them or anything. So in this matchup we can leash. Zeri, Brom, this is a very safe matchup, and if Ezreal Leona gets prior, it doesn't really matter. If it was Ezreal Karma, then I wouldn't leash if I'm Zeri. But since it's just Ezreal Leona, even if they get a push, I mean, it's Ezreal, like, it doesn't really do much. Jinx Milio, I wouldn't leash here because Jinx Milio against a Kai'Sa Janna is very strong and you can zone. So that's the concept. Can you zone level 1 really hard, or are you going to get zoned? Or do you play a matchup that is all about the push, all about the prio? You can consider to ask your jungle to not leash. Yes, I would say like maybe 45 to 50% you should ask. You shouldn't ask every single game because there are matchups that you just don't need it. Like, look, Jinx Blitz against Alistar Hui. But anyways, we're not gonna win this game. Like, by default, we're not gonna win this game, right? So we're just going to, yeah, purely just go and play the laning phase just normally. Yeah, but definitely you should consider to not leash. There are so many players, even in Masters, it's embarrassing. They just don't know how to play. They leash and then they ask, wait, I lose the lane, you know, AD carry is so weak. But in reality, you know, you can do so much about it. And okay, there are these players that are like, oh, but my jungle will flame me if I don't leash him. If you ask very polite and if he says no, then you leash him. Like, I'm not saying ignore your jungle, man, just flame him, go kill him, you know, fuck him, just report him. I'm not saying that, right? Like, just ask him in a polite way. He doesn't really you know, answer in a good way, no problem, just listen. That simple. So wave management is quite simple in the first 3 waves, and the 3 waves is most of the cases the same. Yeah, you can argue that, yeah, but if you play again Vayne against Caitlyn, as you showed in the example, you have to perma push, not thinking too much about pushing too hard. Or yes, if I play Sivir, for example, and I play a push lane like a Caitlyn Karma versus a Sivir, the Sivir should push like a psycho, not really thinking about pushing too hard or pushing too little. She just has to crush as fast as humanly possible, really. Or in some examples, you try to give the push, but then if you fail it and the enemy just have significantly more push power, then you really have to just give it up. We're going to talk about slow pushing, fast pushing, freezing, pulling the minions, level 1, and more amazing things right now. So the first one is slow push, and by slow push I mean the state of the wave where you usually have the same amount of minions like the enemies, and the wave is directing towards the enemy tower. You usually maintain it just by last hitting, so just hitting the minion when it's like 1 HP. The goal of this slow push is to build up a large wave with your minions so you can create more pressure on the enemy team. You can slow push 2 waves, 3 waves, or 4 waves. We're gonna see how do you decide which one is best and how you actually can see how you can use this slow push in your games. So usually you use the slow push if there is no urgency around the map that you can respond to, which basically means if there is no river fight, if there is no close jungle that you have fighting the scuttle with someone, or there's no really potential fight as well, or you're not able to extend or accelerate your lead in any way. Say the enemy AD carry goes into mid lane and you can get plates, then of course it's a no-brainer that you have to you have to stop slow pushing and fast pushing. Or let's say your jungle is just invading into the enemy and you're seeing that. Say in this specific situation right here, and you have right here, let's say you play bot lane and you're slow pushing here, and your jungle is like, you see him just going towards the enemy jungle, then you have to push faster. You have to like accelerate the push, and you have to transform the slow push into a fast push because he's invading. Or say he's like fighting the scuttle, then same thing, you just have to push, or even sometimes just look to go there depending on how close the fight is to you. So this is the slow push. You use it when there is no fight or no urgency on the map. So you need to slow push 2, 3, or 4 waves depending on, first of all, the river and the urgency. So for example, if you're slow pushing 2 waves on the bottom side right here, let's say you are this team, you're slow pushing 2 waves, you have the wave right here in the middle, say, and you're slow pushing 2 waves. Let's say you do have like right here, you have 2 waves. These are the waves. Yeah, I'm really good at drawing, by the way. And say right now there is something happening on the river. Let's say jungle mid lane is fighting, then it's a no-brainer that you just have to push this, you have to crush it faster, and you have to move on the river. In general, actually, depending on the distance of the fight, if it's like this close, you can just immediately go, since if you get a kill here and you lose like 2-3 minions, it can be worth it. Again, it is true that if the fight is actually pretty far, you can't just go there, right? If the fight is like really far. So in that case, then you would have to push this, crush these waves, and then move. If the fight is pretty close, like let's say they're fighting like right here, then you can move. You can just move without really pushing. So this is why you would do 2 waves slow push, because of the urgency on the river. If there is no urgency on the river and you're chilling in the bot side, then 3 waves is better. Of course, it also depends on how much gold you need for the item. So say you need to buy Kraken Slayer for 1000 gold and you have it after slow pushing 2 waves, and you know you're gonna be able to crush it in time, then you can crush it faster. If you need 1 more wave, then no problem. You can just wait the next wave that is coming from base, and you can just wait it to come here, and then you can crush. So it depends also on the gold that you have, but mainly it's the urgency and the river. Of course, also again, as I said, your jungle position, because if he's about to all in into the jungle, say he's about to close the jungle, the enemy jungle proximity, say he's like right here, you see him, he's going into the enemy jungle, then you can just trigger the fast push, even though it's only a 2 waves push. Of course, in Challenger, usually people just farm more camps and they try to coordinate the 3 wave or 4 wave slow push into the enemy tower right here, and they coordinate it. They are exactly right here when you have 3 waves crush. So this way, if the support decides to leave, to kill your jungle. He's gonna lose a lot of farm. AD carry will never be able to live if it's 3 waves crush. But again, this is very unrealistic. Like, your jungle will never think about this if you don't play in Grandmaster or Challenger. So that's why you kind of have to adapt on him more than thinking that he's gonna adapt to you. And of course, enemy wave position also matters. For example, I'll show you an example right here in my SoloQ game. So right here we are playing Jinx Nautilus, and this is a matchup that I know I'm gonna win. So I'm just looking to get a push a little bit. My Nautilus is boosted, don't worry. And then what I'm doing, I know my Jinx is like really strong compared to the Twitch. I try to poke him as much as possible, and I try to slow push here. So as you can see, once I've got the priority, I'm just looking to zone him. I'm just looking to just go on him. So now I'm not really looking to fast push. And the reason why I'm slow pushing here is, again, I just want to bully the Twitch as fast as possible. And here I just only crush 2 waves. And the reason why I crush 2 waves is because, again, my wave is significantly bigger than their wave, and the next incoming minion wave is actually pretty far. So this is why I decide here to slow push 2 waves. So you can slow push, like you can transform the slow push into a faster push if there is something on the river, or if there is a potential fight, or if your jungle is invading, or if you have gold for item anyways, and you know you don't really need to go for the 3 waves crush, you can do that. Also, we're gonna see right here a Gumayusi play with Nico against a Smolder. This is a very easy matchup, as you guys might know. So what he should do, he should just zone. He shouldn't even try to touch the minions too much. Like, he's just gonna walk up. So as we can see, the range advantage in this matchup, Nico, Caitlyn, and how much power the Smolder has early game, 0 by the way. Or like the lack of power of Smolder just gives Gumayusi a sense of like, hey, I'm gonna walk up on them, not even hitting the minions. So as you guys can see, Gumayusi is not even hitting minions. He knows that he has the slow push prepared because of how much range he has. So Gumayusi is only going to zone, only going to walk up, and only going to trade like this. This is a 2 wave slow push, and he knows that he can do more because, again, right here, the wave is not so huge compared to the enemy wave. He sees that the enemy, the allied wave, the incoming next wave right here is pretty far, so he can still look to slow push. And right here we can see that he is actually looking to have 2 waves here, and not even now he's gonna push. I think he's just gonna keep slow pushing here, just because he can use this wave as a bait. Like, if Smolder wants to get some of these minions, he's always gonna get punished. So there is no reason for him to trigger the push right now, unless he really wanted to recall, or his jungle was here for a dive or stuff like that. Then 2-3 waves here, just slow push as slow as humanly possible, then is better. Of course, if he was really low HP, or he really wants to recall, or, you know, he wants to be on the Drake, he would probably just look to if the wave comes here, boom, this 3rd wave, he would just crush, he would just instantly shove. But this is not the case here. He's safe of the enemy jungle. His jungle is not looking to dive, he's not even close, so he just tries to use the wave as the best source of punishment for the enemy. So this is what Gumayusi is doing right here, and we can see he's playing it really clean, and it makes sense the way he plays. And from this point on, since they are solo into the tower, even if Nidalee comes here, he knows he can 2v3. So he's like, fuck this, I'm just gonna perma-shove here. Why do I perma-shove? It's because they're low into the tower, and I want to faster the push. I just want to slow push. I know I can bully them into the tower. I see this mistake a lot of the on people. They keep slow pushing him when they are 1 HP into the tower. But at the same time, it would be very stupid to fast push here for Caitlyn, Nico, if they are full HP in the tower. If they are full HP in the tower, then just pushing this wave is very bad. And the reason why is because if Smolder is full HP into the tower, that means he gets access to all of the minions. If you know that the amount of pressure that you can exert it on the enemies is not enough to chunk them significantly, or kill them into the tower, poke them significantly into the tower, or get a lot of plates, in general you want to look to slow push. For example, if Gumayusi and Smolder, they were both full HP, and Gumayusi, let's say this is a champion that farms really well into the tower, let's say Ezreal, then he wouldn't push if he's full HP and he knows that he can't get this plate. But since they are very low into the tower, Gumayusi is like, hey, we don't need to slow push 3 waves. Yes, 3 waves is better because you crush a huge wave into the tower and you can immediately get big plates. If the enemy jungle comes on those 2 or 3 waves slow pushed by me, I can also play around my wave and I can really outplay. But in this case, Gumayusi saw the HP difference and he was like, no, I don't need to crush 3 waves. Yes, there are advantages of slow pushing 3 waves, but I want to accelerate the game. And the reason why I want to accelerate the game is simply because they are low into the tower and I'm not really gankable in this position. The fast push is pretty straightforward. If there is something on the river that you want to attend to, or if you want to recall, or you want to move away of the bot lane in any way, you just fast push. Is it doing Drake? Then you can consider fast pushing. Do you want to be on the river? You can consider fast push. Do you want to recall? You can just instantly fast push. Do you see enemy AD carry is mid lane, or maybe he is just into the base and he recalled, just fast push. And right here we can see this. I see the Alice is pinging Drake. I just fast push this and I go towards the Drake. Either ways, in the mid game to late game, looking to slow push or looking to freeze is only good, I think, in maybe clash or challenger or competitive, because you don't really want to play the game very slow once you get into the mid game, and you don't really want to play it like, oh, I'm gonna slow push and make a big wave on mid lane. So I don't really look to freeze or slow push in the mid game or late game in solo queue, because in solo queue there is going to be a lot of urgency. Like imagine here I'm just looking to slow push when I see a fight into the my teammates are going to break out the fight, and you guys can be like, oh, but they shouldn't fight, right? You're just slow pushing. Yeah, but that's not a realistic thinking for like solo queue, where everyone wants to fight, everyone wants to test limits, everyone is like, so instead of having a playstyle that will only work in let's say challenger or super high elo, then it's much better for you to just play like, hey, I know they're gonna fight, so let me just hard shove a minute mid game. I'm not gonna chill and I'm not gonna just play it slow. I know that I can just play it fast, because that's what I'm supposed to do in solo queue. People are gonna play fast, so let me just play around them. And I'm gonna go and explore one more factor, pulling the minions in level 1. So let's take a look at this. So I'm going to show you right now the advantages of pulling the minions into the brush. I'm going to show you how to do it, and I'm going to show you the disadvantages. So the first advantage of pulling these minions into the brush is obviously that the enemy will lose 1 minion. So if they lose 1 minion, obviously you're going to be in XP lead, and already like the little advantage that you have in XP lead, especially because they will lose a melee minion. That melee minions, they actually they give you more XP than casters. It's actually quite decent, so that's how we do it. Okay, I actually messed it up. Okay, and I didn't really mess it up. I waited all of the minions to auto attack me, to look at me. At least I actually look at the pins of the minions right here on upside, and then I just did it. What is gonna happen right here? What is gonna happen is that my minion is gonna die. I actually fucked it up here. Okay, round number 2. Okay, never mind. I think I did it wrong as well. Yeah. So the way you do it is quite simple. You basically want to wait the minions when they come, and you want to make sure you aggro all of them. Or if you aggro 80% of them, this will also be okay. But if you want to be like the most effective possible, then you do it the following way. You basically stay like, you wait the wave when it comes, the first wave. So this actually works on the first wave really well. You can do it later as well. Then you just walk up, you wait the minions to just look at you right here. You eventually just auto attack 1 minion as well. And you guys can see all of the minions had the pins on the upside there, and they look at me. And right now my minion is going to die right here, so they will lose 1 minion. This is extremely good if you know that you can get fast in the lane and you're not going to leash. The problem is that there is a really little problem about this state, and I'm going to show you right now. There is a big problem of this state right here. You see that they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minions, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so they do have an advantage in terms of the minion. So what does it mean? That means that when you're playing the lane, and if you're playing against a Caitlyn, yes, Caitlyn lost the 1 minion. Yes, you're gonna get level 2 advantage, but you have to ask yourself if it's worth it, because in the majority of the cases, and this is a big trap that people start to believe, and there is like a big like scam on their internet, like people that they tell you, oh, you need to pull the minions level 1. In the majority of the cases, actually a big scam, and I'm going to tell you why it's a big scam. So what the advantage is here is that, of course, let's say, okay, you play Caitlyn Yuumi. I don't know why I like Yuumi a lot, and this guy plays, let's say, okay, Vayne Yuumi. Okay, the matchup doesn't matter as much in this case, okay? So let's say the Vayne just pulled the minions like this, and she's gonna be like, hey, I pulled the minions, right? I'm gonna get level 2 advantage, and now you lost the minion. And Caitlyn will be like, yeah, fuck you. I'm gonna walk up on you, and even if you're level 2, I'm just gonna bully you. Why? It's because the fact that I have a bigger wave weights more than the fact that you're level 2. I'm Caitlyn, I have significantly more range than you, and the fact that you play Vayne with level 2 and Yuumi with level 2 won't matter. And you guys might think that, oh, besides, so you're saying that I should never do it? No. So what I'm saying is that if you play, so the disadvantage of this is that you're losing the push. And if they want to push, if they can do it with the lack of, so you can be like, yes, I'm gonna get level 2 as Vayne, but can the Caitlyn zone me anyways if she's level 1? Shouldn't I just try to be in the lane faster and start pushing her already to push the lane? Like, do I value the push more? Or do I value the level 2 more? Because in a lane where you play like Caitlyn with Karma and you play against an Alistar, either ways, if you're giving the Alistar the push, he can't do shit, right? Because Caitlyn Karma will either way zone them, even if. So let's say we want to make this this wave state, yes. So let's say Caitlyn Karma is right here, and let's say Alistar is here, okay? Alistar with a Vayne. So even if the Vayne is actually, let's say we have Caitlyn Karma here pulling the minions, okay? And the Vayne is gonna lose 1 minion, and they have, theoretically, they have the push level 1. I mean, not they have the push, but they have more minions to work with. That's the secret. Karma will anyways walk up on them so much, it won't really matter the fact that, you know, Vayne has 7 minions right here and Caitlyn has 5 minions. But it will if the Vayne has a good support. If the Vayne has an Alistar, this is completely shit strategy. Why? It's because the fact that Vayne is going to be level 2, the fact that, let's say right here, Vayne just pull the minions and she's going to be level 2, but even if she's gonna get level 2 a bit faster, the fact that they, in the very beginning, the Karma will have like 7 minions and they will have 5, like they will have a little bit more minions than them, will allow Karma to just walk up on the Senna to chunk them significantly. Caitlyn would chunk them, so this will not work. So this strategy is extremely good if you know you can zone either ways based on the matchup. So if you know that you play Caitlyn Karma, you pull the minions and you know that, hey, I know I'm gonna lose level 2 advantage, but at the end I can zone him so much level 1 that even if he's gonna have a little bit more minions in the very first wave, I'm gonna anyways bully him. That's very good. But if you play a Vayne and you play against a Caitlyn and you do this, it might look short-term advantage, like you actually bully, like you actually, you know, make her lose 1 minion. The problem is that this is a scam, because yes, you're gonna lose 1 minion, you're gonna make Caitlyn lose 1 minion, but if you give her the push, the fact that you level advantage and the fact that you have XP advantage won't weight the fact that she's gonna fucking bully you, she's gonna hit you, she's gonna attack you, she's gonna use her range. So be very careful with this strategy. It is good if you know how to use it. It is good if you have significantly more range than enemies. Like again, the example that I always give Caitlyn Yasuo or Caitlyn Vayne, or you have Karma and they have melee support, you can do this. But if they also have a matchup like, let's say they have Senna and they have you know, they have Lux, like Senna AD carry with Lux support, and you're doing this when you play Caitlyn with Karma, okay? And you're just pulling the minions. The thing is, it won't work because yes, you're gonna get level 2 advantage, but if Lux is gonna walk up into the brush and she will walk up right here with more minions, it won't, like, you're just gonna get bullied. So the fact that you're gonna get level 2 advantage and that you actually got that XP advantage, it won't matter. So be very careful. And this is the same with pulling the minions right here to the side and making a freeze. It's a very big double-edged sword. I'm gonna show you why right now. Like, look at this play, for example. So right here we have Ashe 1-0 against Draven 0-1. She's a little bit stronger than Draven in terms of the kills, but in terms of the farm, we see that the Draven is significantly stronger. So right here, we see that the Ashe is receiving a wave right here. She should pull the minions to the left and make a freeze, right? Well, I mean, his Nautilus is actually not walking up, really. We see that he's right here, so there is no threat. She could think about it, yes. Right here, the Draven is also like not pressuring her, and she does not want to recall right here with 300 gold, so she could think about it. But the thing is, freezing this wave is actually, or pulling those minions is actually very, 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 very stupid. And I'm going to tell you why. So when you're freezing this wave, you have to take 2 things into consideration. 1 is the size of the wave that you're trying to freeze, and 2 is what is the next second incoming minion wave. It is right here. If you're not paying attention to these things, you're going to try to pull the minions to the right here. You're going to get chunked so much because the amount of seconds that you need to actually keep it here, it's huge. It's just 15 seconds, something like this. So you're going to get chunked massively. And then, oh well, or even worse, you're gonna give the Nautilus the chance to just hook you, which is even worse. So if the wave is right there, right here, it's completely garbage. If the wave is right here, it's still bad. If the wave is here, it's still bad because it's a Nautilus. So even though from here to here is maybe like 7 to 10 seconds, he still has lots of time to walk up. If the wave is like really close, like here, she could do it. The thing is, I see so many players, they always pull the minions. They don't really pay attention at the size of the wave. They don't really think about it. Hey, where is the next incoming minion wave? It's really far. okay, so can I really freeze it? And I'm gonna lose all of my HP. If I'm gonna lose 15%, 20%, 25% of my HP, the decision is always bad. So be very, very, very careful with what you watch on the internet and the freeze guys, because I see a lot of people, they think they have knowledge and they think they know League of Legends and they think they know the game, but what they know is that they know the theory, they know all of the things, they know the wave, slow push, pulling the wave, but they don't know when to use it. And you're gonna go into a game, and these people, they go into a game and they are like, oh, but I know so much more than my enemy, and you know, I don't know why I don't climb, and I don't know, I just always feel like I'm better than the enemy. Well, that might be true, but what you might like be able to understand right now is that even though you have the theory, you sometimes don't know how and when to apply it. And that's a very crucial thing. That's why I really recommend you to look into coaching, because coaching can tell you exactly what you don't know, and it can just boost your gameplay extremely, extremely hard. Let's talk a little bit about the freeze. So freeze is a wave state where you actually keep the wave in a positive position while actually keeping it there for a long period of time. So it's that simple. You keep the wave in a positive position for a long period of time. So let's see how you do it. So the condition is that the enemy wave has to have 4 more minions than your wave. So for example, let me just take you very, very, very simplistically right here. So it's like I'm in the tower or close to the tower. That's a positive position, right? And let's say I have 1, 2, 3, 4. How many minions should they have? They should have minimum 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So minimum 4 more minions. So 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. If I have 4, they have 8, and we can freeze. What happens if I have 6 and they have 7? The wave is coming into you theoretically, but it's actually not really, well, it is coming into you, but it's just for a very short period of time. So what I'm saying that is that if you have, let's say, 6 minions right here and they have 7 minions right here, what is going to end up happening is that the wave that is coming from your base, that is actually going to meet closer to your own tower and is going to meet there first, will completely kill those 7 minions, and it's going to push into them. So what I'm saying is that because of the fact that the next minion wave that is right here comes closer to this tower and it's going to meet first here, it's going to completely push the wave, or slow push, make the wave slow push into the enemy. So what I'm saying is that if you have 4 minions and they have 4 more minions in their enemy wave, let's say we have 3 and they have basically 3 plus 4, so 7 minions, this is a freeze. And even if the next minion wave is still going to come closer to the tower, 4 minions differential between the initial waves will actually keep the wave there for long enough, so you're like, this wave can also meet right here and it's still gonna freeze. So any wave state where you have 4 and they have 6, which is 2 minions extra, or you have 5 and they have 8, which is 3 minions extra, it's actually gonna end up pushing into them slowly because of next incoming minion wave. So you can't really go wrong with 4 more minions in the enemy wave. And of course, there are also situations where you have 5 and they have, let's say, 10, or they have 12, they have a lot. In that case, you have to actually introduce the concept called trimming. How much should you trim? It's very simple. So 5, you need 4 more minions right here. So you basically ideally need 9. So you just have to trim, you have to kill 1 minion so you can make it a 5 versus 9. It's that simple. If you have 2 and they have, let's say, 9 minions right here, technically you just need 4 more. So you need 2 plus 4, so you need 6 minions. So you just need to trim 3 minions. You need to kill 3 minions. And of course, right here, like in this example, in high elo, like, okay, this is master tier, people are gonna actually identify that you can actually freeze, and they're gonna pressure you like Zeri does it right here in this situation. At the moment right here, I can anyway set up a freeze, because as we can see, we have enough minions right here. The cannon wave came, and this is what I actually do. I keep the wave right here and I'm not really pushing. Remember that usually that's how you actually keep a freeze. In this position right now, it is still actually a freeze, and the reason why it's a freeze in this case, okay, well, it was the cannon. So what I want to show you is that even with the cannon minions, you can actually freeze, and you can actually freeze better with cannon minions. So what I'm saying is that if you have a cannon minion, that's a little bit of a different wave state, right? That's a different wave state. So for example, if you have in this position, you're trying to actually make a freeze, and you have, let's say, 6 minions and they have, let's say, 9. What also matters is what kind of minions do you have, because for example, if you have 6 casters against 8 minions, but in that 8 minions you have 1 cannon actually means 2 minions and a half. That's like personally like how I how I judge it, right? So you need 4 minions, meaning that you need 4 minions in the enemy wave. But you can have 2 melees, 2 casters, or 1 melee, 3 casters. The best is 1 melee, 3 casters, because melees make the wave to stay there for a long period of time, because they're very tanky, but they don't do much HP. So the melee is gonna tank a lot of the next incoming minion waves, but the casters are gonna do more damage. So 1 plus 3, like 3 casters, 1 melee is like the sweet spot. If you do it with 4 caster, or with 4 melees, or 3 melees with 1 caster, but usually it's really more casters and less melees. No matter how you do it, if you respect this 4 minions rule, it's 90% of the cases gonna work. And again, if you have a cannon, like let's say I have 6 minions right here, or let's say I have 2 minions right here, and in the enemy wave I have basically 1 melee, but I have a cannon, like I have a big minion. The cannon is actually weighs 2.5 minions. So let's say I have 2 casters right here and 2 casters right here. So I have 2 minions right here, the casters, and I have 2 casters on the right wave, but I also have a cannon. So I already have 2 minions and a half more in the enemy wave. So you have to always do the math that the cannon weighs 2 minions and a half. So when you count, let's say you have 2 wave states. Okay, let's say just make it really clean. So you have 1, 2, 3 minions right here, but you have 1, 2, 3 with black, and you have a big minion. Okay, you have like a cannon minion. So, and then let's say you have like 2 more minions right here. You count it like this: 1, 2, 3 blue. So you have on the blue side you have 3 minions, and on the black side right here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 normal minions, like non-cannon minions. You count the non-cannon minions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 2.5. So you're gonna count 7 minions and a half. So this is a perfect freeze actually. You see, this is a perfect freeze. So that's how you really count the freeze. Be careful with freezing when you actually position it into actually winning an advantageous spot. Usually freezing is really good if you don't know what is the jungle, or you want to be safe. But if you know what is the enemy jungle right here, and you know that they're quite weak, let's say you're playing a laning phase where you play okay, let's say they have Twitch Yuumi, my favorite matchup, and then they have, let's say, play Caitlyn Karma, like a really strong matchup. So you're just freezing here, denying the Twitch. Majority of the cases you just want to push and you just want to accelerate. Like freezing here is fine if you don't know what is the enemy jungle, but if you know what is the enemy jungle, let's say he's top, you see him top lane, or you simply know that you can 2v3, it's much better to just transform this freeze into a slow push into them. And the reason why it's better is because when you play a laning phase like Caitlyn Karma, you want to snowball and you want to bully Twitch more than just oh, but I'm 20 CS up. It's so good, right? It's so, well, it's good that you're actually up in CS, but you want to get plates. If you play a matchup where you're supposed to win like Lucian, Nami, or Caitlyn Karma, or you're just looking to accelerate the game, so just looking to freeze is a disadvantageous spot. So it's the same thing that freeze is always good. No, freeze is not always good. There are many situations where freeze is bad, and again, it's if you think you can get plates, if you think you can 2v3, if you're playing a lane phase that is extremely aggressive and you actually have to snowball or you have to accelerate, usually you have to break the freeze and just make a 4 minions versus 4, which is a slow push. Make a slow push so you can actually slow push 3 waves into the tower. You slow push 3 waves in the tower, and then you take minimum 2 plates on that wave. So be very careful if you're freezing. If 1, the enemy jungle is not a threat to you, and 2, if you're playing a matchup where you need to accelerate. Same thing, if you play Twitch Yuumi and you freeze against Caitlyn Karma, that's good, because all of your job is not to take plates in this matchup or play crazy aggressive. It's just to play safe, slow, and make sure you don't lose that hard. Really, that's all. So be careful when you're freezing. Freezing is not always good. So the next topic that we're going to talk is when to recall. This is quite important, as below master tier, majority of the people, they know how to recall, but they don't actually know like really well. They don't know how to play around the best recalls. Like they recall in 60 to 70% of the cases, they recall well, but they don't have a really good understanding on when you should recall and why you should recall. So the recall, you want to base it on 3 different things. 1 is the HP that you have and the mana. If you're low on health for mana, it's generally a good time to recall, especially if staying in lane possess a risk of getting killed by the enemy laner or ganked by the enemy jungle. The second thing is the gold that you have and the gold that you need. What do I mean the gold that you need? So most of the champions, they have a power spike. So for example, when you play Caitlyn, you want to play for Noonquiver. When you play, Philios, you want to play for Berserker Boots. And of course, there are champions that, have weird power spike, like for example on Jinx, you can buy boots, longsword, daggers, so you can get a bit of spacing priority with your boots and have that movement speed. But as a rule of thumb, you want to have some things that you're thinking that you want to buy, and these are called the mini power spikes in the lane. Again, for Caitlyn, it could be no quiver. For Aphelios, it could be berserkers. So recalling allows you to spend the gold you've earned on items, which can give you an advantage over your opponent. If you have enough gold to buy a significant item, and by significant I mean no quiver, berserker boots, Kraken Slayer, a dagger, a longsword is not significant. 600 gold is not significant enough. 700 gold is not significant enough. Usually above 1000. Above 1000 gold, you can think about, you know, buying significant items that will actually make a difference. So again, if you have enough gold to buy a significant item upgrade that will enhance your strength in laning phase or team fights, it's usually a good time to recall. In the later stages, it's a bit more complicated because you also have to take a look at the team fights. And the third aspect that you need to think about is the current wave state. There are many cases where you're pretty low and you're pretty low on mana, but because the wave state is shit, it's pushing into you, you're not able to recall. This is something that you also need to worry about, the current wave state. And you have to consider the position of the minion wave in your lane. If the wave is pushing towards your tower, you might want to recall to avoid missing out on the farm and experience. The thing is, if it's pushing towards your tower, slowly, because if you know that it's gonna crash, obviously you shouldn't really recall. So we're going to talk about, and we're going to actually explore this topic of when to recall with different situations. Of course, challenger player will tell you, yeah bro, but you also need to think about the allied jungle position. If he's invading or he's looking for a dive, you need to completely change the wave management for him. Or, you know, enemy AD carry position is also very important, because if he's coming in the lane phase, you just push the lane. Like, think about the case like this, right? Think about the case like this. You just push the lane right now and the AD carry is like freezing. You want to recall, but you want to pull the minions, right? You just want to escort the wave, okay? Because of the fact that enemy AD carry is pulling the minions, you have to make another decision. You have to change decision making based on that, and you can escort the wave. Escorting the wave is basically making sure the wave crashes, and the enemy, again, the enemy AD carry could potentially look to pull the minions to the right and make a freeze. You're just escorting the wave, you're walking towards the wave just in case he does it, you can punish him. That's what escorting the wave is. Of course, objective is also really important. If you are full HP right here, low mana, you want to recall after pushing the wave, but say your jungle is fighting on the river with the mid lane and it's actually pretty close to you, you could consider moving towards him, even though you have low mana and you want to recall. Again, that will depend on what champion you play, because in general, if you play a champion like Ezreal or a champion that is very useless when it comes to having no mana, then you could also consider ignoring that fight. But if you play a champion like Vayne that doesn't really necessarily need so much mana to fight, then you could consider going there. So again, these things can also influence a lot of your recall, and the team can influence a lot. Like, what does the team need can influence a lot your recall. But again, these three things, your HP and mana, the gold that you need for the item, and current wave state, will usually help you to decide. So let's take a look at the next examples. Take a look at this example. So we have Jinx here, we look at her HP and we look at her gold. It doesn't look very good. Her gold is quite useless. I mean, 300 gold, she can't buy anything, and she's quite low. The thing is, she shouldn't really recall, because when you see that she's low, you don't have to be like, oh, she's low, she has to recall. You have to always compare how low she is with how low enemies are. If you're going to compare only in a vacuum that, oh, Jinx is low, you're going to be like, oh, she needs recall. But in fact, Kog'Maw is also low, so she doesn't need recall. So what's going to end up happening right here very soon is this. Diana goes in, she flashes away, and right here, she has to recall. Again, right here, if the chances of her so right now, the chances of her dying is really high because she has only 60 HP. The Kog'Maw is going to push this wave very hard, so she will lose all of the wave. So there are some players that will consider to stay here again. And this is because she knows that level 2, losing a minion wave is big. So in this case, she's actually going to recall for two reasons. Why? One, the chances of her getting the wave is really, really high. She has 60 HP. And two, she sees that Kog'Maw needs to push this wave, but the next incoming minion wave is, as we can see right here, pretty close. So if this Kog'Maw wants to crush, he's not able to. How do we know? We know it based on the speed of which Kog'Maw can push a wave, the current position of the wave, that the wave has to also walk like this to get into the tower, because Kog'Maw right now, he wants to get a clean crash, and this wave doesn't allow Kog'Maw to crush it in time. So what Jinx is going to do right here, she's going to recall. Because of this wave right here, it's a very nice recall. If the wave wasn't here though, it would be still a good recall because she's super low. But what she should be thinking about is that if she had a little bit more HP, and by a little bit I say just, let's say she had 200 HP right now, she should consider staying, because Kog'Maw is also relatively low. So if Kog'Maw is relatively low and the chances of you dying into the tower is not high, you could consider staying just for the wave. If the chances of you dying into the tower is high, you'd rather recall even if you know you're going to lose the wave. In this specific situation though, she wasn't going to lose the wave, because as we can see right here, she comes back in the lane, she's losing like 50% of the wave, but she still ends up getting most of the wave, like 40 to 50% of the wave, which is good. And this is because she actually got the recall exactly when the wave is right here. So what did we think about here? We thought about our HP, and here again, if she had more HP, like if she had this HP for example, she could always stay if she knows that Kog'Maw is going to push the wave into the tower and she wants to get all of the minions. Let's explore this next situation right here, me on Xayah right here against Lucian and Milio. We see that we actually chunk significantly the enemy team, and I do have double buff. So right now you would say that, oh, the Lucian needs recall. But the reality is that the chances of us diving them when Lucian has EZ and we play Xayah, Rakan are pretty low. We can dive them, it's just we're probably gonna die. Well, we will get a kill, but then we also like give a kill. So in this case, Lucian stayed. Can he just die here? Well, not really. So he's staying to catch experience because he knows that we can't really dive him. And look what he did. He actually stayed and stayed and stayed. This is a master player. This guy has pretty good fundamentals right now, and of course right now the chances of we like diving him is really high. So at this point in time he should immediately look to recall. He actually tried to stay here, and the Volibear is coming, and if we dive him it's just over. He was extremely confident because he had his jungle behind. But again, the concept is that you don't always need to recall if you're low HP. If you know that the chances of getting dove is not high, then you can stay, but be careful because this is a very double-edged sword. If you do this and you are diveable and you die for it, it's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. Also right here, if the Diana wasn't here for Lucian, this is a very tricky situation for him to be in, because he knows that I'm gonna perma push him. So what he should do right here, after he gets this minion, if the Diana is not here, he should be like, hey, Xayah is low, but I know I'm gonna get dove because she's gonna poke me. I have less HP than her and she has red buff. So what I should be doing right now, because this is a cannon wave, I should just recall. Should you always recall on a cannon wave? Absolutely no, and this is unrealistic. You should recall based on your gold and based on the HP, well, based on the HP if you're low, but usually based on your gold, how much gold you need for the item. And very rarely the I need 100 more gold for the item, let me just get it and recall. Very rarely that will also sync on, oh, but I forgot that I should recall on a cannon. Like, it's much more important to recall based on how much gold you have than recalling on a cannon. Recalling on a cannon is very good in a position like Lucian, where very soon I'm gonna be extremely healthy because of the red buff, and he's gonna be like extremely low because, well, he's Lucian, I'm gonna poke him. So in this position, when he has this HP, he's quite diveable right now, and let's say I'm healthy, he should be recalling because he's in a losing position. And if he is gonna stay here and he's gonna stay here and catch the XP, I'm gonna get a lot of plays. So he definitely should have recalled. He stayed here, and the reason why he stayed is because he knew that I'm not diving him. But now, if I would have this HP, I definitely dive him. So what I'm saying right here is that Lucian, if you're losing, recalling on a cannon would be best. And right now, if Lucian is smart and he doesn't have Diana behind him, he's gonna go here and he's gonna press B. He knows that by the time that he's coming to the laning phase, we will be pushing the wave, so he's gonna lose 20 to 30% of the minions. But since this is a cannon wave, we're gonna have a very hard time pushing this. We have only Blade on the Xayah, and the cannon wave can also tank like 8 tower shots, right? So if you wanna recall and you're in a losing position like the Lucian, what Lucian should do here, let's say right now, look, I'm pinging my jungle, of course. Like, let's say right now Lucian is this HP and he takes this wave. He has to be like, hey, I'm staying for this wave, but I need to recall as soon as possible. So now he should move his camera to this wave to see if it's a cannon. And if it's a cannon, he should actually take this wave and press B immediately. So he wants to time that recall when the cannon wave is around this stage. Again, this is from losing. You're gonna see from the internet, bro, always recall on the cannon, always recall. It's impossible to do that realistically speaking. Recalling on a cannon is good if you are in a losing position. So this is a big myth that people will tell you, and it's that myth with pulling the minions and freezing is good always, like this kind of myths that if you follow them, you won't really maximize the strategy. Let's explore another situation that is tricky as well. So playing Xayah right here with the pike, this is around master tier elo as well. So we're going to fight here, and this is going to be a very big, very big fight with Belve as well. So after this, the Samara tries to make a play here, and she is almost getting it. So right now I'm pushing the wave obviously because I want to recall, but after I'm pushing the wave, I am like 1 HP and I have a huge amount of gold. So obviously I can't really get any plates because the chances of me dying right here is high. The moment I see this wave, I know that it's actually a pretty bad wave. It's gonna freeze here, it's gonna stay here. So what will I do here? It's very simple. I see Lee Sin is top lane. I know Samara just died. I know Karma is around this stage. So based on the chances of me dying right here, and based on this wave, I need to stay. The reason why I stay is because 1, I have enough mana to get my Q and my E, which is 80 mana. So I need 10 mana for that. That's fine. I know that I'm not going to get punished because Lee Sin is top lane. And I know that Samara is right here. Again, I wouldn't have done this if I don't know where is Karma or enemy support is like right here or right here and she can punish me. I would never have done this if I don't know where is Lee Sin. But in this specific situation, I pushed. And the reason why I pushed is not because I need more gold, which can be a good reason. It's because I needed to crush this wave. So this is basically proper wave management, and I thought about all of the variables. The enemy jungle is top, the enemy support just died, the enemy AD carry just died. I know where she is. She's in between the Nexus and the inhibitor. Like, I was tracking all of these things. If you want to get a good recall, you need to track these things clean. So again, if you're 1 HP into the laning phase, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to recall. It just depends on who can punish you and how likely it is for you to die there. Same thing in the next following situation right here. So I'm playing the same matchup, Xayah with Pyke. We're getting ganked right here and we got a kill. So right now the wave is actually pushed into the tower, and right now I actually want to recall. I crushed the wave right now. Samara is recall, but I don't know where is the Lee Sin. So going for plates, this specific situation when my Pyke is really low, Lee Sin is missing, is very greedy. So I recall, but then I press tab and I'm like, oh shit, the plate is 1 HP, but I need 100 gold. Shit, I need some gold for the item. I know that they don't have vision right here on me because Karma is in the tower and she would have walked up to stop our recall. I would, so I make sure I'm safe. And now since I know exactly where Samara is, because I was tracking her, like Samara is right now, she spawned, okay? She spawned, it takes 30 seconds to get from there to there, maybe 28, 27, because she has the movement speed since she just died. So let's take a look at this. So why do I stay here? Very simple. So Samara is at 918, going to recall, okay? Sorry, she's gonna be here. So right now from 918 to 948, she will be walking towards the lane. So I know that I still have right now 20 seconds to recall. So I push this like a mad Superman here, like a madman. I push it super hard. I try to blow the minions up with E. I back off immediately. I stay max range in case Karma tries to cheese me. And then right now the Samara here, you guys can see my clicking. I'm always at any given time actually know where she is. So here I was explaining to the people that were watching my stream, hey guys, there she's gonna be right there. I'm counting. So I was literally counting. So how can I get better at this? Because if I know this, I can take this decision besides, right? This will take time and you need to do more VOD reviews on yourself. And what you have to do is you literally have to go into your match history, download the game. Let's say that you played. Let's say you play a game, and what you have to do is you have to play with Fog of War, and every time when one person recalled and you want to assume where that person is, you just have to guess. You just have to take a guess. So for example, right here, if I'm Miss Ferton, let's say, Twitch just recalled, okay? Okay, Twitch just respawned. So now when I'm pushing and I'm thinking, should I stay for plates or should I stay for the tower? I'm also need to think about where is Twitch. So now I should pause and I should be like, Twitch is, so she spawned around 10 seconds ago. He should be right here. Boom. Bam. I know it. You know, I'm a coach, so of course I know it, but you might not know this. So you have to kind of like test yourself in the game, because yes, most of the cases, the HP and the gold, how much gold you need will tell you if you should recall. But if you have a good understanding on where exactly is the enemy AD carry, it will help you a lot. In my opinion, 40% of the times, the gold is going to tell you if you should recall or not. Around 25% of the times, the recall will be, of course, do I have enough HP or do I have enough mana to stay? And then the other variables will be does my team need me, or where exactly is the enemy AD carry, you know, or is my teammates like, are my teammates just starting the Drake and stuff like that. So like smaller things, I guess you can say. So for example, take this situation right here. So I have 887 gold. I need to recall very soon. The Samira is actually stronger than me. She already has the item. I need 100 gold for the Kraken Slayer, okay? So Pyke is actually fighting. I'm pinging him to not fight, and I'm just playing safe, and I'm just trying to space. After I get this wave, I immediately recall because I know that 1, I have the item, and 2, I'm not going to lose anything by recalling immediately. Most of you guys will say, oh shit, but they're going to push the wave. You're going to lose it, right? First of all, if I have a big significant power spike and I'm going to lose like a little bit of the wave, it's not that unworth. It's okay if the power spike is significant. And in this case, talking about Kraken Slayer. And second of all, if I press B right now, my wave is right here. When I'm going to be in base, my wave is going to be right here. Okay. So this wave has to travel here, and it takes 15 seconds. So as you guys can see, I recalled, and this is what they tried to do. They tried to push the wave, as you guys can see. Did they, like, were they able to push the wave? Yes, they were. Did I get any experience? Well, not really. I just get the experience of the casters. What helped me, because they have a huge wave clear with Karma, full AP, and the Samara. So this is worth, because 1, I'm getting my power spike. I'm getting my Kraken Slayer, so it's okay to lose 1 minion. I will probably not recall if I have the Kraken Slayer here, but this wave is in the middle, and I see Karma just using Mantra Q on it, committed that she's actually pushing the wave. In that case, I know that I'm not only going to lose the wave, I'm going to lose 1 plate as well. So in that case, I wouldn't recall. But if I recall, while 1, I have a significant item in base, the Kraken Slayer, and 2, the incoming minion wave is extremely far from them, so I still have a little bit of time from that state, so from that aspect, then I can just get the recall, right? The next follow situation is going to be a little bit trickier, and let's see if you know this. This will look extremely simple, but it has some subtle things that you might not or might know them. So let's take a look at this. So Varus against Zeri, Milio, this is a push battle. They are just gonna perma push. We have Sona, and since I play Varus here with little tempo, he's a bit weaker than with Comet or with Halo Blades in the laning phase. So we're not really gonna do anything crazy in the laning phase. So what's gonna end up happening is that we're gonna get ganked. They're gonna walk up, and we're actually barely killing them 2v2. The guy comes here, we kill him as well. So this is a big Uga Buga fight right here. So what should I be doing right now? So at the moment, I know that the thing that I should do is obviously I need to recall. I need to push the wave, get a clean crash, and recall. The problem is the following. Zeri died a while ago, and I know when Zeri died. She died right now. She's 12 seconds on the death timer. Okay, she spawned right now. The Zeri from here to here, it doesn't do 30 seconds because she can eat through this wall, so it does around 25 seconds. So she's a bit faster than normal AD carries. So at the moment I have 25 seconds. So we're fighting here really hard. The thing is, if I would try to push this wave, I know Zeri is already right here because she eat. If I try to push this wave, 1, I don't have mana and I don't have them items. And 2, the wave is extremely big. So in an ideal situation, I could look to push. But in this specific case, the wave is coming to me, so I should recall, you might say. Well, not really. Not really. The real question is, do I want to grid? Because if I need, let's say, 100 more gold for the Blade of the Rune King, if my gold, for example, is right now 700 gold, and I know that by pushing this wave and pushing the next wave, I'm going to get Kraken Slayer, or I'm going to get a significant power spike. Or let's say right now I have, again, 600 gold, 700 gold, and I know that, again, by pushing this wave and the next one, I'm going to get something actually good. I can always crush here. So depending on your gold, you can also push this wave. So pushing this wave is not a bad decision. And this, if you're going to watch Gumayushi or Ruler, or you're going to see that they always love pushing before recalling. Getting a clean crash has the big advantage to get more, to give you more gold. So that should, majority of the cases, be better. In this specific case, I'm pretty far from the Borg. I think it's around 400 gold, if I'm not mistaken, but I might be wrong. So I'm like, hey, 1, I'm really far away from the item. 2, this is a pretty big wave. So if I knew I get an item at least, I would potentially grid. I know that I'm not going to die of Zeri because she has no flash and she has no ulti. So the chances of me dying here against Zeri and the enemy jungle is little. So I could consider pushing here if it was, you know, if it was, let's say, a good decision. Then again, I'm thinking about how likely it is for me to die if I push this. That's also a big factor that can be a no-brainer. Like if I'm really low here, I'm not even thinking about pushing. And really low means 200, 300 HP, like low enough for me to die. So here, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to recall. I'm just going to recall. Does that mean that you always recall? So right here, I'm trying to trim the wave, and then I realize, oh shit, I shouldn't really have pushed. So this is actually my mistake, and I shouldn't really have stayed. And we can see that this is again master tier. So people stop me, people punish me. I actually trimmed the wave relatively good. I think I trimmed it too much because I need 4 minions here to make the wave to come into me and be a freeze. And the cannon is barely low, so I did trim it a bit too much. But this is the concept, and right here the concept was good. Unfortunately, I didn't recall, and I had to recall right now, and I'm gonna lose the wave. But since she's gonna push so hard, I really have to stay. And what am I gonna do? I mean, I'm gonna recall on a cannon. Did you guys see what I did? I'm looking at the next wave as I'm taking this wave. I see, as I press B, I see Zeri pushes like a madman. Of course, she's gonna push like a madman. She knows I have low mana, and she just came from base. So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna look at the next minion wave, and if it's a cannon wave, I'm gonna time my recall on that. Recalling on a cannon wave when losing is a great idea. So that's what I'm doing. I'm taking a look at the next wave. It's a cannon wave, so I'm like, okay, good. If it's a cannon wave, I just recall. Perfect. Boom, and I get the Borg. So recalling when the wave is coming into you is good in some situations, but if you know that by pushing the wave and crushing and breaking the eventual freeze that you have, you're going to get a huge component extra rather than let me recall with 300 gold, you should always do it. But that will depend on your goal. I think that 30% of the times you should do it. 70% of the times you should just recall on that wave, like coming into you. But again, it will depend really hard on your goal. That doesn't mean that you should always recall on waves coming into you. That doesn't mean you should always push. It just depends on, one, again, your goal, how much gold do I need for the extra item, and two, how likely it is for me to die while pushing this wave. And of course, 3 would be like, okay, can I push it fast, or am I going to be like ultra slow? Because if you're Ezreal with 0 mana, then of course it's easier to just go for the recall. So all of these things, you have to think about them. In the following situation, we're gonna see and understand and learn the 10 seconds rule. So this is a Draven Fiddlesticks against a Samira Leona. Samira Leona, they are very good at level 3. We see that they're actually getting pushed in really hard into the tower. So let's see what's gonna end up happening right here. So we see that Draven is quite low, but Samira is lower. Fiddlesticks is slightly healthier than Leona right here. But since she's gonna level up, she's gonna be healthier. So let's see what the Draven is gonna do right here. Samira is quite low right now. And Draven is playing relatively safe right here because he's scared of the Leona engage. So in this position, the Samira tries to crush the wave. She's actually pretty, she actually did it relatively well right here. So let's see what's gonna happen right now. So in this position, we can see that Samira was actually, she was actually in fog of war for around 15 seconds. Right now, if Draven was actually a good player, he will be like, oh, they recalled, I'm gonna push. Problem is that he actually was extremely slow and he pushed now. Is this push good? Not really. It's not, because this wave is extremely close to him. It's right here, so he's not going to be able to crush in time. So what's going to end up happening is that the wave is going to meet here, and if the jungle is going to come at that... Oh shit. I got scared. Please make sure you you added that. Okay, so okay, so if the waves are going to meet right here, if the waves are going to meet right here, he will have to push that wave while being here with Draven, right? So what he should have done is that the moment he sees, the moment they are in fog of war, okay, now he should count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, right now he should already be like, oh, okay, where they are. And 10 seconds is usually, you know, the sweet spot, but you can do like now 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, now they definitely recalled, right? They definitely recalled. So in this case, he should push, and he should push hard now, because the next wave didn't even spawn. So he has time to crush this again, because he was hesitating right here. He actually waited so much. So at this point in time, if he's looking that, okay, should I push right now? Okay, no problem. I decided pretty slow. No problem. I was pretty slow at seeing that they recalled. Now this wave is actually pretty close to me. So I'm never going to be able to crush. And what's going to end up happening, I'm going to go here and die. So let me slow push this wave by only last hitting. Let me wait this wave to come here, and I will crush after. This is a platinum player that was Emerald. What did he do right here? After I told him that he shouldn't really have pushed here, it's obvious. He barely died here. Leona just jumped on him, and even if Poppy was actually behind, he died. So this is extremely obvious, and if Samira is good, he's just gonna get a penta. So you see, one wave management mistake can mean a lot. And of course, you guys might argue, coach, are you crazy? It's Samira Leona. They could have just been into the barrage, right? Yes and no, because realistically speaking, right here, the Samira was extremely low. So if I'm Samira in this position, I don't cheese. Why? It's because I'm too low. Yes, if I'm Samira in this position and I'm like this HP at least, and I don't have a like significant good item base, then I just stay into the brush. But in this situation, you guys learn the 10 seconds rule. If the guys are missing for minimum 10 seconds, then you can already consider to assume that that they recall. Again, this doesn't work every game. Sometimes they cheese you. But if you play against Yumi or Ezreal or champions that can't really cheese, it's good to do it. Okay, if you play against Lucian, Nami or Kalista, Thresh or stuff that can stay into the brush and cheese you, it's not the best tip in the world for sure. And the last concept that I want to tell you is in the late game with the recall. So when you play AD carry, look at this. So this AD carry has 1000 gold right now. She's moving to bot lane because these are free kills. And right here, he's just going to go onto the Rek'Sai. He's going to get a bunch of kills. And then he's just going to get the shutdown. She has 2.2k gold. Guess what? Right here, she could have easily pushed one more wave right here onto the bot lane. She could have tried to actually go for the Raptors. The red buff could have actually been spawned right here. But she chose to recall. Why? It's because everyone is recalling. So right now what she actually wants to do is that they want to all play on the Nashor at the same time. So this tempo recall is extremely important in high elo and is also in low elo, and a lot of people they don't know how to do it even below Grandmaster, like a lot below Grandmaster. So of course, if he knows he has a significant item by pushing the wave bot lane, he would do it. But in this specific case, he's actually prioritizing being with the teammates. Jax wants to push bot lane, Kiana, Kai'Sa and Diana, they just want to play for the objective, and we can see that they are all very grouped. So if you're the AD carry that pushes one more wave and then one more wave on bot lane and he's never at the Drake, that's because you don't have sync with the recalls with your teammates. And in high elo, you're gonna see this very like a lot. Of course, sometimes you can find yourself on the split push option if you think you're gonna get a huge item again, or you really have to deep push a wave that is like huge crash to your tower. But in general, if you can, syncing your recalls is a very crucial thing. 10 seconds after that play, I say that, and look what happened right here. So Diana is trying to get some vision. They all get some vision. And then what do they see? Kai'Sa is pushing. She's pushing the wave. 3 people are recalling. Boom, boom, boom. Jax is getting the bot wave. Boom. Kai'Sa is not staying for the red buff. Not staying for the Krugs. Not doing the scuttle or any other stupid stuff. Not just pushing mid lane. Not they recall at the same time. And yeah, she also has a reasonable amount of gold, but even if she didn't, even if she had 200 gold, there is no reason to stay here by herself. It's better to just play with the team. So you guys can see this in Challenger a lot. This is again this is a rank 1 EOVS that I'm actually spectating right now. It's not the AD carry player, but the whole game is Grandmaster Challenger, so it's like pretty high elo right now for sure. Now let's see how a normal Emerald or Diamond 4 player from EOVS plays. So this guy was Emerald before I coached him, Emerald 3. He immediately got to Diamond 4 after like a month after I coached him. Now we're going to Master. So let's see what mistake he did in the last coaching session. So he has 250 gold, pushing on the bot lane. He does not have vision, and of course he's trying to path towards mid lane, because since he didn't have vision, I told him to just go to mid lane here, to just hover a little bit, and he has 400 gold. Right here, Dazir just goes to bot lane. He's trying to push mid and just hover his Janna. Again, he has 700 gold. He's just waiting the wave. He should have just taken the wolves right now in between when Janna is not here, or simply just move towards bot lane. But this is not killable in this specific situation, since Jinx has pretty low items right now with just one item. So staying mid lane here is all good. 740 gold. Okay. So right now she is just going to look to she's just going to look to win here. She forgot to actually use the E on the Nunu E, but right now she gets a kill. Obviously she's going to go mid lane and she has to stay since the Kog'Maw is pushing. We can see that the Drake is actually spawning extremely soon. So let's take a look at this. It's 1 minute and 19 seconds. That's not extremely soon, so he can stay on the map right here. This is all okay and he should be staying. Thing is, right now it's 55 seconds for the Drake, so he just has to recall, because if he doesn't recall now with 1.7k gold, he will not be able to be here 25 to 30 seconds before the Drake. That's when you have to be a Drake. You don't have to be a Drake when it's 0 seconds. You have to set up vision 15 to 20 to 25 seconds before it spawns. So in this particular situation, we can see that he stayed, and not that he stayed right now, but he stayed even after. Now he has to recall. He doesn't need to push the wave. Even it doesn't matter if he's going to lose this wave. He really needs to recall. Otherwise, he's not going to be a Drake. Or at least just right now, just recall. So he can be a Drake on the map again. And it's not even like, oh, but teammates are fighting. Shouldn't he stay? Well, they weren't. Where are they fighting? Bot lane, you can't really make it in time. Jungle, he's not fighting. He should just recall here in the middle. So you guys see that players, and this is D4, he's not the lowest rank in the world, and this guy has 59% win rate. He's actually a pretty good player. So he was Emerald 3 before the last time I coached him. Now he's D4. He still does a lot of mistakes, but I'm very confident that with my coaching, he's easily going to be able to get to Master Tier. And now he's going to get stopped, and now it's going to be impossible for him to recall. And of course, he just stays and stays and stays. And when he recalls right now, and his teammates are just trying to get vision, so potentially they want to contest this Drake, they can't, because the AD carry recalls are just all over the place, right? So make sure you look at your goal, and make sure you look at the next objective, and try to always try to sync your bases with the Drake. And of course, there are some cases where you just can't be there because you're prioritizing farming for like a huge item like Infinity Edge. That can be right, but in general, you should, after an item and a half on AD carry, you should be looking to stay with your teammates. So that's why syncing your recalls based on the Drakes and based on your goal in mid game is also extremely important. In the next minutes, we're going to talk about plates. When to go for plates? Should you go for plates? Should you consider going for plates? Is it better to just recall? How do you decide exactly? So this is a very important aspect, because if you can't snowball the game, if you win the lane but you don't know how to convert it into a bigger lead, that will also come from, do you know when to get plates, or are you too greedy to get plates and you greed for them and then you die, or simply you are playing too safe and you never go for plates? Both situations are not good, and I'm going to show you how you can actually decide. So staying for plates will depend on three things. One is the threat of how big the risk of dying is, which will depend on one, your HP and your mana, and the support that you have, HP and mana as well. Sometimes it will also actually depend on the jungle position of the enemy. So for example, enemy jungle being missing can be a deal maker if you want to actually go for a plate, because again, the first most important thing if you should go for a plate or not is ask the question, how big is the risk of dying here? And again, that will depend on the HP that you have, and the HP that the support have, and the jungle, the enemy jungle position, if you know it or not. Second, it will actually depend on the speed in which you push the wave after you actually get the kills, because usually you go for plates after you get kills, but really the speed in which you push the wave will be basically be translated as how much time do I have until the enemy laners are coming here. Super important. And the third thing is the enemy AD carry position, so or enemy AD carry downtime. Like I killed him, how much time do I have? And this will depend on his death timer. So the threat of how easy it is for you to die. Second is the speed in which you push the wave. And third is how much time do you actually have to get that plate based on the enemy AD carry position. Of course, things like the size of your wave can influence it really hard. Like you need to go for a plate if you have like 3 waves, you crashed into the tower, and it's easy because the mains are gonna basically solo plate. The champion that you play, if I play Tristana compared to if I play Ezreal, I'll most likely go for the plate more with the Tristana, especially if I have minimum like a Noon Quiver, for example, so I can like melt the tower. Of course, things like the size of the plate also matters. Like if the plate is 1 HP, you can like risk a little bit, just auto attack once and then run away, because the minions are going to end up taking the plate. And the tempo is a deal maker here. There are so many situations and so many players that they go for plate in high elo. They don't actually think about, hey, I go for a plate right now because I have time. But they don't know that, oh, after you get a plate, you want to recall. And if after you get the plate, the enemy AD carry is already in the lane, you risk actually getting stop of your recall. And if you get stop of your recall and you have to stay in the lane, Well, it's bad because, I mean, would you prefer to take the plate and never recall? Or would you prefer to just push the wave that you push, recall, get your items and come back in the lane? Like, it's usually better to just not take the plate if you know that you're gonna get stopped off the recall, or that you need to be on the map for a Drake or for a Baron. This is called in high elo a tempo recall. Obviously the enemy laner, the enemy AD carry position will depend on that, because if you go for a plate, for example, and again, he's very close, then he's going to stop your recall, and then you either have to stay, but in that case, you're going to lose a lot of minions in the tower, and you're going to be very low tempo, you're not able to recall anymore, or you just recall anyways, but then you also lose a lot of plates. So it's a bit of a tricky situation. And the last concept before we actually go into the example is the communication. You have to let your teammates know you're going for plate, especially if it pushes, if you have to push the lane far up. Obviously, if your support is recalling, you see him recalling in the brush right here, and then you go for a plate, you'd rather try to ping him as well to stay with you. I know that if you're like Challenger and Grandmaster, you're gonna say, besides, but you know, the support is a tempo recall. One, he wants to give solo play to the AD carry, and two, he always in the early game wants to play with the jungle for the voidlings. So a tempo recall from the support is faster. I'm not talking about Challenger, okay? I'm talking about below Grandmaster. It's as a rule of thumb, below Grandmaster, it's good that your support stays with you when you actually get the plate. Let's explore the following play right here. Master tier, Xayah. This is my Xayah against Lucian Milio. So what is actually happening right now on the screen is that I'm trying to take the wave from the tower. I'm pressing F key, Lucian died. So in this specific case, we can see that enemy jungle died, enemy AD carry died. So obviously right now, since everyone died, I just want to push the wave. So after I push the wave, I'm thinking, hey, should I stay for a plate? And after I'm actually thinking, should I stay for a plate, I need to take a look at the risk, how likely it is for me to die here. And obviously, based on my HP, I'm actually quite low. I don't have my ultimate, so it could be a big risk. But the thing is, the risk will always depend on who can punish you. Like Diana died, the Milio is in the tower, he's not going to kill me right here. Lucian is also dead 4 seconds, and I know that it takes from base to the lane, it takes 30 seconds, so I basically have 35 seconds. So the disadvantage of this play is that I have low HP. The advantage of this play is that the Lucian is dead. He's like really far away from the bot lane. The Diana is not able to punish me. Enemy jungle can punish me. But also, if I actually take a look at the size of the plate, it's extremely low. And another advantage is right here is that this is a non-cannon wave. And with the items that I have right here, I can easily melt the plate. So now I know that he just respawned with the Lucian. I see Milio just recalled. I know Diana just recalled. So not only that I'm going for 1 plate here, but I'm going for 2 plates. Why am I going for 2 plates here? I'm going for 2 plates because I know exactly where the enemy jungle is. I know exactly that the threat of me dying for a plate is low. And right here, most of the players will be like, oh, you can push another wave, right? No. Lucian, he took from here to here 30 seconds. He's already like right here. If I take this wave, what's going to end up happening is that I'll take this wave, I'll recall from here or from here, but he's going to be able to stop my recall. So this is why, as you guys can see right here, I recall immediately. And you guys can see Lucian wanted to stop my recall, but he couldn't actually do it. If he was like checking the second rush, then yes, he could have. But here I was extremely clean at understanding, hey, how much time do I have here? Can I go for a plate? And the answer was yes, because I see the dead timer of the Lucian and I see that the plate is low. Again, if Lucian was right now, right here, I wouldn't go for a plate unless it's extremely low HP. So like right now, it's extremely low HP. Of course, in another situation where I'm at like really low HP and the plate is half and I know the enemy AD carry is here, I don't go for a plate. In another situation where I don't know where is the jungle and I'm extremely low, like this HP, I'm not going for a plate. So it's very simple. Is it likely for me to die for this plate? If the answer is no, then I go for a plate. If the answer is yes, then I don't go for a plate. I try to ask myself, what's the worst thing that can happen? And I play around that. In this case, there is no worst case. Jungle died, AD carry died, GGBG. Next situation, same rank. Let's take a look at this. So, playing against Kai'Sa, I have Camille and we are going in. I think you guys probably saw this situation a while ago. So let's repeat the situation right here. So we're playing against Camille into the Nami and Kai'Sa. We're actually going on them very soon and we end up killing the Nami. So right here, since we end up killing the Nami, I try to use exhaust and we are actually chunking her very actually hard. So right here, you might ask, should you stay for the plate? I mean, in this specific case, absolutely, because 1, you have Diana around. 2, enemy Nami just died. 3, you have a big wave and 4 the Kai'Sa is really low. In this specific situation, if the Kai'Sa is full HP, I will never hit the tower. Why? It's because in this case, if she's full HP, I mean, I can just go recall and I can get a clean recall, but since she's low HP, I know that I have enough pressure to actually get the plate, and I have a big wave. The fact that I have a big wave right here is actually making a big difference. Yes, you might say, hey coach, but if Kai'Sa is full HP, do you stay here when you crash the wave and you have a perfect recall with 800 gold, you can buy tier and longsword potion, pink? Nah, I wouldn't stay. I wouldn't stay. If she's full HP, there is no reason for me to stay, because if she's full HP, she can just walk up right here, take the wave faster, but since I can pressure her, then I do it. Yes, you're right, if the Kai'Sa is full HP, I do not stay for his. And yes, you might say, hey coach, so you're saying that the wave being big helps you here? I mean, Kai'Sa is low HP, but if you have 2 minions right here, do you stay for the plate? Probably not. Probably not. If I don't have a big wave right here, then I wouldn't stay. Why? It's because, I mean, I can't hit the plate so much with my auto attacks, and in addition to that, the minions are not really going to help me because there'll be just 2 minions, right? So it makes sense, right? All of these variables, I have a big wave, Kai'Sa is 1 HP, my jungle was behind me, all of these things actually they help you make the best decision ever. And you kind of have to see the overall situation, not be like, oh, if Kai'Sa is low HP, you always go for a plate. No, you have to ask yourself, what are the advantages of me staying for this plate? What are the disadvantages? So here, advantages are 1, I have a big wave, 2, Kai'Sa is low HP, and 3, I also had no threat on the enemy jungle because I just saw him, he just got chunked right here, as we can see. So the only advantages. The disadvantage is that I don't get a clean recall, as in if I don't recall now, I might actually get stopped later on if the Kai'Sa walks up on me and she tries to actually stop my recall. So the advantages just outweigh the disadvantages by a lot, and this is basically how I make a decision in League of Legends. You ask yourself, what are the rewards here and what is the risk, and you try to like kind of make a balance between those and see which one weighs more. Next situation, same thing. So after she actually died right here, we see Camel died. I barely die right here, so I just have to flash away. I'm looking at the wave is coming into me, so I'm simply just saying, oh, since the wave is coming into me, I'm just going to stay right here. The Kai'Sa tries to recall, she crushes the wave, and then, can you guess? Well, they just recalled. So in this position, I really have to push as fast as humanly possible. The Kai'Sa recalled basically 15 seconds ago, so I'm pushing this wave right now. So you might say, hey coach, right now should you go for a plate? Well, the disadvantage of this plate is 1, I have a huge amount of gold. 2, the Kai'Sa recalled a while ago, like 20 seconds ago, so she's probably around this side. So if I stay and touch the tower, not only that Nami can punish me, not only that I don't have a big wave, not only that my wave needs to travel a long time until the tower, but the most important thing here to actually consider is simply, where is Kai'Sa? So I knew that Kai'Sa is not actually, she's very, very close. So what I did, I tried to hover a little bit. This is not hesitation by me. I knew the right decision. I tried to hover because I know that Nami might actually freeze the wave. So I'm just escorting the wave with Camille, even though you could probably say, wait, but she can escort it by herself. It's just Camille. But that's true. You know, it was my mistake here. I push, I say good job, and here I'm not even thinking to go for a plate. Why? It's because, as we can see, Kai'Sa was back in the lane. So if I stay for that plate, even if it was like only 2 auto attacks and I recall right here, she can stop my recall and she screws up my tempo. So here, this is just like a faster tempo recall. The plate was actually in fact 1 HP, but I didn't want to stay intentionally, because if I stay for the plate, even if it's just one auto attack, in this particular case, since Kai'Sa was so close, I'm gonna get punished. If Kai'Sa was like more far, like maybe here or here, then I would greed for 1 auto attack and then immediately recall. But if I know that I'm not able to recall here after I get this plate, then I would rather not take the plate. Another situation that is a little bit more special right here. So same game, same master tier, same ranks. Right now I am recalling. And of course, as I'm recalling, the Kai'Sa actually kind of knows that I'm recalling because I'm not really staying in the lane. She's trying to push really, really hard. So what I'm doing right here is very simple. Like, I know that what she has to do right here in this case is that she has to push this wave. And after she pushes this wave, she's just going to recall. I'm going to wait a little bit right here. And then at the very last second of her recall, I'm going to ulti her. The reason why I ulti her is because I want to screw up her tempo. Right now, she still has to recall, but she's not able to recall very, very easy. Right, she's going to go into the first brush. And right now, what I'm going to do is, since I have Essence River right here, this is a cannon wave. So theoretically, I push it pretty slow. Practically, I know that I stopped the Kai'Sa, so I just go for a plate. The reason why I go for a plate is because I stopped the Kai'Sa right there with my ulti. You can do this with the Jinx, you can do this with other champions. Obviously, again, the risk of me staying right here is just minor. Like even if Lee Sin comes here, I have Flash, I have E, I have Camille, like it's chances of me dying here. I mean, I guess you can argue that there is a chance. It's true, it's not impossible, even though now we actually see the Lee Sin top lane. But even if Lee Sin is here, I know that Kai'Sa is actually quite late here, so I am just going for the plate. So you see how actually I use the fact that I stopped the recall of the Kai'Sa. I immediately push. I knew the death timer of the Kai'Sa right here, and based on that and based on my push power, I knew that I have a fast push power right here, because otherwise I wouldn't actually ulti Kai'Sa. I just pushed and actually get a plate. Another situation right here, let's take a look at this. So, rule of thumb, I'm actually getting pushed in smaller against Ezreal. We'd actually end up getting Dove here, and let's take a look at the situation. So I'm getting Dove here. Smaller is trying to ulti. He flashes on me. He actually can't kill me. And in this case, I have my Lilia actually killing all of them. And right now we see Smaller die. So I just push immediately. I do not know where is the jungle, but this is actually safe. I try to ulti the Smaller. I kill him. And right here, what am I gonna do? Well, I'm pretty low HP, so the chances of me dying right here of the enemy jungle is pretty high. It's Talia, so she has the ulti, and I'm 300 HP on Ezreal. So in this specific case, even though I see the plate is actually quite low here, and I see that the Smolder is dead, I'm actually really scared of Talia. You guys might say that, yeah, bro, but you're actually seeing Talia right there, right? It is true that I see Talia right here. The problem is that if she's gonna get here, she can immediately ulti to bot lane. So if I recall in a brush like that first brush and it's worded, there is a small chance that I actually die. So it's better to be safe than to be sorry. And if you're not sure, then it's better to not go for plates, right? If you think you're gonna get stopped of the recall, or even worse, you're gonna die, it's just better to not go for the plate. Especially right here, that if you take a look at the Karma death timer is 2 seconds, so it's 9:30 on the Karma. So right now, after I'm pushing right here, the wave is in the tower right now, it's 8:53. So 23 seconds is Karma actually left base, which means she's around this place. If she used her E, when you die, you get the movement speed, so she's gonna take less than 30 seconds. So with shielding herself constantly and mantra shielding herself in base, which she should do if she's human, she should be around here. So yes, you might argue that I should have gone for a plate, but in this specific situation, I didn't want to grid it because I know Karma actually pretty close. Again, you might argue that she should be mid. You might argue that, yes, exactly, she's mid. You might argue, but I didn't know these things, right? And I always have to expect the worst. This decision that I did here, if I play in bronze, I'm not going to die for the plate. If I play in challenger, I'm not going to die for a plate. At the end, it's better to be safe than to be sorry. Again, you don't want to go into the other extreme where you are too safe and you're never going for plates, but you just have to take reliable decisions and decisions that don't have a high chance of killing you. That's really what it is. The next situation is going to display you the last example for the plates. Right now I have tried to recall. I know that I need 900 gold for the item, and right here I need to stay. I need a bit more gold. Smolder tries to pressure me. I am getting pressured by the Karma. I get very, very lucky right here and I actually don't die. And what am I going to do? So I'm pushing, but now right now I don't know where is Talia. She just crossed mid lane right now, but I need to push the wave extremely fast. So after I push the wave right here, again, we can see that Talia is mid lane, so we need to see where she's going to actually head to. So right now we see that she heads like towards bot side here. I don't know if you guys saw. And right here, I'm actually not going for a plate. So right here, I'm extremely careful. Yes, the plate is low, and yes, I have a pretty big wave. The Talia was 4-0 and I don't know where she is. So right here, this is Diamond 1, so it's a bit of a lower elo. I'm pinging my Senna because I'm actually expecting, hey, this guy is Diamond 1. He doesn't have extremely good knowledge and game sense about when to stay for plates. Some of the people have, but some of the people don't. I pinged her. She, of course, was thinking, hey, Ezreal, are you crazy? We have a big wave. Smolder just died, the plate is low, we have vision, Talia can't kill us, but in fact Talia can kill us with the ultimate right here. I'm pretty low, I pinged him, I'm actually just letting her die. I just look to ping him again, and then right here, as you guys can see, she E'd and Talia was there. If she actually cast the ultimate behind the Senna, she is just dead. You can say that, oh, but maybe Senna knew that Talia doesn't have ulti, and the vision that she had lowered the chances of her dying significantly. Even though if the Talia had ultimate, then she wouldn't stay. the Senna knew that Talia has ultimate, so this is why she stayed. If that's what she's thinking about, that's absolutely fine. If she didn't know it and she flipped it, which is absolutely right, no problem. No problem. Like if she knew all of this, that's absolutely fine. The problem is that below master tier, people just, they autopilot a lot, like a lot. They just autopilot and they don't really have clean and clear thought processes about, hey, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing what are you doing? It's like, what is your plan this game? They are like, oh, you know, I need to win, right? I mean, that's my plan, no? Like, it's easy, okay? That's not how it works, really. How it works is that you want to actually build a game plan and you want to play accordingly. That doesn't mean, okay, should I stick to the plan? What if I don't stick to the plan? Well, make a plan, play around it, and if something crazy happens, like let's say you play a Vayne versus Caitlyn and you're thinking to play safe and you get a kill on her, then you adapt the plan and you start playing more aggressive. You want to be flexible with the plan, but having a plan is just better than not having one. Yeah. In the next minutes, we're going to talk about positioning inside of the laning phase. And positioning in the laning phase is extremely important, because obviously if you don't position yourself good and you end up dying or you end up just getting chunked, that's going to cause you losing the laning phase, which will actually lower your chances to actually carry the game by a lot. The most important thing about the positioning in the lane is really to understand based on what do you need to position it yourself in lane, and like how do I know if I should position it more aggressively or less aggressively, other than the basic stuff of they use the hook, I'm gonna walk up, or you know, tracking ability in general. So the most important thing is the matchup that you play. Based on the matchup that you play and based on the power of the champion that you have, the power from the early game of the champions that you play, you should play more aggressively or less aggressively. So let's take a look at this case. So right now, Caitlyn against the Jinx, they have kind of the same push power. Jinx has the rockets, but Caitlyn has the Q. The Nautilus has more power than the Rel in the Barrage, especially because he has basically a little bit more CC with his auto attack and Q, but also Rel level 1 is not the best champion early in the world. So we're gonna see that they are walking up right here. They're actually getting chunked, and at the moment, like right here, Caitlyn is trying to get priority by using the Q, and we can see that he's just positioning pretty aggressively. What Jinx does is that she's understanding that she lost the priority of the brush because Nautilus started W, and if the Nautilus starts W in this matchup, it's kind of hard for the Rel to play the game, because no matter what trade you're taking, the fact that the Nautilus has this extra shield, it will make a big difference. So right now they have to back off. So Jinx is actually understanding this, and as Caitlyn is walking up right here, Jinx is like, oh, I can't push anymore. I have to position it myself defensively. So why did she actually back off? She backed off because the matchup that she's playing and the situation that the matchup that she's playing, the Caitlyn and Nautilus are stronger. And especially because the Nautilus did what he actually did right here in the very beginning. He saw that his support, the Jinx saw that the support is actually getting chunked a little bit, and is actually seeing that the Caitlyn, not only that the Rel is getting chunked, but also Caitlyn got a priority here because the Caitlyn used the Q. So obviously the second thing that allows you to back off or to walk up or is the wave based on the minions. You have to pay attention to the difference between the number of the enemy minions and the number of your minions. Not only because you can assess who is getting level 2 advantage first, which will of course cause like, okay, you can anticipate it and you can back off preemptively, of course, minimum 3 seconds before they get level 2. But also, if you have a bigger minion wave, you can of course allow yourself to trade. You have an easier time to trade because you have more minions. Like, look at this Jinx right now. She knows that Caitlyn has more minions, so any trade that she's gonna take, she is not gonna tank too many minions. She's only gonna tank 3 casters. But if Jinx is gonna stay here, let's say this is not a Nautilus and it's a Yumi, and you know, let's say Jinx can walk up right here, she will anyways not want to trade because the Caitlyn has significantly more minions right here. So we see that the Caitlyn played the lane. Not only that she walked up because the Nautilus had priority on the Rel, and as we said, Jinx against Caitlyn right here, they are kind of the same level 1 in terms of the push power. So the fact that Nautilus got an edge on the support, which by the way is very similar, like Rel is 8, Nautilus is 8 early on compared to each other. Jinx is a 9 and Caitlyn is an 8.5. Jinx has a bit more advantage because her Q rocket cooldown is extremely low compared to the Q of the Caitlyn. So this slight advantage actually matter a lot here, and this is why they actually woke up in this specific situation, right? And of course, you should position it yourself in a way that allows you for effective trading, while also being able to follow up on your support engage or disengage. Of course, this will involve that you have to position it yourself in a way for efficient trading with the enemy laners, so you also maximize the damage, but you minimize the risk as well. So you want to position it yourself, very simple. Position it yourself in a very consistent way where you can do damage while being safe. It's that simple. If any decision is going to actually force you to be like too aggressive and cross the line of, hey, I might die here, then you just play safe and you stay behind of your support. In League of Legends, there are 3 types of positioning in the laning phase. There is parallel positioning, there is close to the super positioning, and there is hovering positioning. So these are 3 situations where you can use this positioning. Let's see what I mean by this. Parallel positioning should be used every single time when you're winning really hard and you have a range support. If you think that the range of your support is extremely high, then you can always use parallel positioning. So here, this is Caitlyn Nico, really insane range against Seraphim Smolder, extremely bad in the early game. So as we can see, Gumayushi right here, he's staying super parallel with his support because his support range is basically this range, his range is this range. This is a very good positioning if you think that you can zone level 1 or play aggressive, or you have a lot more range than the enemies, and especially if you have a range support, you can position it like this all over the place. So we can see that the Gumayushi also uses the second type of positioning. The second type of positioning is what I call around the support positioning, like really close near the support positioning. This positioning, okay, but remember that all of the type of positioning can be used in one game. So let's take a look what I mean here. So the Pyke level 1 doesn't have so much range level 1, and clearly if we see in the enemy team right here, the Alistar doesn't really have so much range level 1. Okay, so let's see what they're gonna do right here, other than of course pushing the lane, because we play Ashe against Zeri. Ashe is stronger early on and Pyke is stronger early on than the Alistar. So right here we can see that Ashe is like the first thing that she's gonna do. She's gonna push, but we can see the clicks of the Ashe. This is called, she's trying to hover the support in a way where if the Pyke is gonna hook, she's gonna be in range. So another player will be like, oh, you have to stay parallel with your support. No, you don't have to stay parallel with your support, because in this specific situation, you're much easier to actually get more damage if you stay super close positioning. Same thing with Alistar. There's no reason for him to stay in the brush because he's going to get hooked. There is also no reason for him to stay parallel because his range is extremely limited. So this is why we can see that they both stay extremely close to each other on the Ashe side, but they also stay close to each other on this side. So this positioning is one of the best positioning that majority of the people should follow. We can see that the Ashe right here is extremely good positioning with the Pyke, not too aggressive but not too safe. Behind of the Pyke, she doesn't need parallel positioning, she just needs this around the super positioning. How when you can use this? You can use this every single time when you don't have a range support and you can't zone insanely hard and you feel like your support is going to go in. You can try to hover positioning like this. Again, don't stay too aggressive right here. Just make sure if he gets engaged by Alistar, you are safe. But if he hooks someone, like if he hooks Alistar, you're also able to follow. This is like it's very easy to understand. That's how you position it. Don't be too aggressive to actually get caught. Don't be in a position where you can get caught, but still be in a position where you can follow your support. In this case, it's a Pyke. So don't be too aggressive. This is a challenger game, and we're having here players that are in top 10 in Europe. So this is basically how the game, I think support is rank 3 or something. So this is how you basically have to position yourself. You can just see Ashe here, and also the Zeri Alistar right here, how close they stay to each other. I see a lot of players, even in Diamond 1 and Alistar, they stay here. AD carries think, oh, you have to have parallel positioning with the support, which is extremely like all of these videos with skill capped and all of these like crazy videos about AD carries that, you know, they try to teach you about AD carry, but they don't actually tell you why you should position it, in what way you should position it, and what are the exceptions of the strategies that they actually recommend you there. Super important, the hovering positioning. Of course, this kind of style of positioning can also be played in a range matchup, so there is no rule. And as I said, you can use all of the types of positioning in one game. So look at this, Vel'Koz against Pyke, so theoretically he should be walking up, but as we can see, the Vel'Koz, not only that he has to position it behind the minions because it's a Pyke, but he's also having to stay close to his Sivir just in case she is like walking up aggressively. he's able to like do something right there. He's gonna go into the brush, but he's not really gonna stay much into the brush because he knows that Pyke is going to hook him. Of course, he warded the brush since he knows that Pyke is going to go there. That's another important thing, that if you see someone in the brush, just immediately ward it, and do not ward it like right away. Just wait them to go into the brush and then ward it, and make sure, as you can see guys right here. So what happened here is very simple. Like Pyke went into the brush and Vel'Koz didn't ward the brush right away in the middle. So what he did is that he warded the edge of the brush, right? So because if Pyke is right here and you put the ward, he can easily take the ward and Vayne can take the ward. But in Challenger, people think a lot about, let me just back off and act like I'm backing off right here when Pyke is in the brush. But in fact, they mind game, and as they backing off, they put the ward at the edge. They can't retake the ward, and then they just play from there. So that's like a Challenger trick right here. The hovering positioning is really, it can be used in like all of the bunch of the matchups really. Like there are so many, like majority of the positioning that you're gonna see in the game is hovering positioning in high elo, low elo. Like we see right here, Kumasushi, same thing, hovering positioning with the support. Bard is staying into the barrage because he can zone a little bit easier, but he's also, when Bard is actually getting zoned by the Rakan, he's also trying to hover a little bit the Caitlyn, as we can see. So this is the most effective positioning in the game. There is no parallel positioning or any other type of positioning inside of the laning phase. There are some types of the laning phase that are a little bit crazier, like this example that I'm going to show you right here in LPL, and that is the brush positioning and just using the minions to significantly increase the pressure that you have in the laning phase. So we're going to see what Caitlyn does right here. They are into the brush, and look at the Caitlyn. She's every single time when she's looking to throw an ability, so she throws an ability from the brush. Now she went out of the brush, she hits the dummy, and then she went into the brush right away. Now they force a trade, and every single time when they want to go for auto attacks, they are not going to be into the brush, because if you hit someone while being into the brush, obviously you're gonna reveal yourself, which is not good. So right here, this is Ruler. You can argue that he's the best AD carry in the world, and look at this Caitlyn does. Like there is no counterplay. There is just Q from the brushes. Every time when the Caitlyn auto attacks, she's out of the brush. Every time when the Melio is auto attacking, they're out of the brush completely. So what's this gonna do is that they will have significant pressure. If they try to ward this brush, they will just take it like instantly. So this is how you abuse the brush, and this is the positioning that what I call brush positioning. There are a lot of types of positioning like this, but this is not realistic for me to tell you that you can use this in your games, because, well, majority of your games, your support will not know how to position it yourself. You'll probably not know these things as well. So it might be a bit hard for you to, you know, play clean with the positioning and also be able to do this inside of your game. But yes, if someone tells you, okay, there are so many types of positioning, that is true. There are so many types of positioning, but majority or of the challenger positioning, of pro play positioning, you need to be on the very nice page with your support, sorry. So it's like very unrealistic to think that you're going to be able to do that in solo queue. Of course, challenger players like Pace, they do stuff like baiting abilities like insanely fast. Like right now, for example, if you take a look at this Pace clip, he's walking up, he's playing against a Bard, and just take a look at what he does. He's like walking up really close to the minion, and in the very last second, he's just baiting out the Bard Q, and as he's baiting out, he's just walking up. So this is a trick that is like really nice. We can also see he's pressuring off the Ezreal Q. Like if Ezreal doesn't have Q, I walk up. Of course, if Bard doesn't have Q, I walk up even more aggressive, because Bard Q actually is a more important ability than the Ezreal Q. But Pace, he actually walks up no matter what. Like Ezreal uses Q, Pace knows that the Ezreal Q cooldown is around 5.5 seconds, but if you hit the Q on the wave, that's 1.5 seconds cooldown refounded. So it's 4 seconds at level 1. So he knows this, and he knows that he can punish extremely well the Ezreal, and he's just walking up right here, as we can see right now. Ezreal, again, he hits the Q, Pace is clicking only up. He's like super confident, he's staying around his support, so he has a very clean lane where he walks up to bait out ability, but once he baited out ability, he immediately walks up, and how clean he actually does it, it's just insane. It is a basic stuff to, oh, you're telling me that I should bait out ability and then walk up. That's easy, I'm not bronze, true. But the degree of which you can actually do it and just maximize it and make it more efficient is huge. Of course, you're gonna see challenger players using tricks like this to actually just block the minions, so they actually get a little bit slower into the laning phase as I'm actually doing right now. And obviously this you're gonna see in like super high elo. If you play it in like Emerald and you do this, it's nice. You might actually win like maybe 1% more games from the SoloQ games that you have, but reality is that you're probably not going to win a lot more, right? Or in this specific situation where the Jinx is backing off, she has her E, but she actually doesn't use the E. So actually she uses it pretty bad. Okay, let's just forget about that situation, by the way. Just make sure you delete that, please. So right here you can see a clean positioning by the Jinx in this specific. This is actually me on Jinx. So we play against Nilah and Rakan, so we can zone extremely easy at level 1. You guys can see my clicks here. I'm playing super aggressive, staying around my minions, going to the brush. And what I'm doing is that I'm basically zoning, and then I'm immediately just stepping to the brush. As you can see right here, pretty clean. And I'm also staying around my support. I'm actually zoning Nilah while staying around my support, while respecting Rakan W, while still getting all of the minions. And if I hit, look at this. So if I hit them, I immediately just go into the brush. Check this out. I woke up here. And after I woke up, I immediately go into the brush. I don't even tank more than one auto attack from the minions. And here I just zone and then just zone and then just zone. And after the wave comes here, there is no reason to push. So I just keep zoning. I just keep trying to punish Nilah. There is no threat of the enemy jungle. So I'm just using this wave to actually punish them. And of course, they actually get a bit emotional here because they are tilted. Nilah has 4 farm. But in reality, we shouldn't actually be able to get this. In reality, this should be this is normal for Nilah to get pushed in because she lost the game in the draft, and in high masters, low grandmaster, the draft starts to matter more and more, you know. So you're gonna have these situations where you're gonna lose because of the draft. But yes, like high elo players, like anything that is more than mid masters, even more than low masters, is gonna start to be extremely clean inside of the laning phase. Like they will know what to do, they'll have fundamentals, they will know where to push, they will know really easy what is slow push, what is freeze, and they'll zone extremely well while being able to actually use the brush. And they will obviously very well know how to respect the Rakan, the enemy support, or how to just play around their support without being too overextended. In the next situations, we're actually going to see how to ping properly and how can you actually make it more efficient. So the first thing that I can actually show you is the following. So for example, let's say I want to push right here. If I want to push right here, I'm usually just looking to just ping him. Usually I like to ping 2 times. I don't really actually like to ping multiple times. Like if you're trying to be the kind of guy that does this, you're just gonna tilt him. If you ever played support and you actually get pinged like this, you're probably gonna get really annoyed. So be very careful if you're actually over pinging. Usually the sweet spot I think is about like 2 pings. I don't think it's a big deal to do 2 pings. You basically want to make the balance between too little and too much. Like for example, right here we just traded. So 1 ping is a bit iffy, but 2 pings is usually the best. Like you do 2 consecutive pings. Like let's say I want to push this wave, 1, 2, and we just go really hard. And yeah, I try to ping on the wave as well. The next tip is try to ping the exact thing that you want to do. For example, here if I want to push this wave, I'm going to ping the wave. Usually a lot of people are like, if you want your support to do something and he's like behind right there and you ping him on his head like this, he might get triggered. So be very careful because pinging can help you, but it can also hold you back. Why? It's because if you trigger your people, they're probably just gonna, well, AFK, and that's not good at all, right? So we talked about how to ping actually and be specific. Obviously, you want to make sure you don't ping like frustration. If you want him to stay, don't just ping like this, ping assistance, and then you're immediately going to potentially actually make him stay. Like there, I'm potentially gonna get Dove, for example, right here. He's recalling, so obviously I want to make him stay. This is a bot game, so of course he doesn't really follow. But reality is that if you're actually pinging when you're about to get Dove, he will most likely follow. And again, like when you're pinging, if you see him recalling behind the view, I see a lot of players that try to ping and they ping it super late. Like make sure you're pinging exactly, this is the third tip, ping exactly when you're making the, like exactly before you're making the decision. So for example, if the guy is actually recalling behind you and you see him recalling, don't let his recall to go like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, just like insta ping him. The moment he press B, you instantly ping him on my way, so he can know. Because usually, like especially lower elo, people press B and then they open the shop. So right here, they are in a zone where they actually can't see the ping. So it's really important for you to actually be fast when you're pinging, right? The next following ping is actually very helpful in the mid game as AD carry. So for example, right now I'm going for a gank, I'm trying to look for a gank, and let's say I can't really do it, right? Kale is trying to set up, but right now I want to recall. So what I'm doing is that, of course, he's trying to go in, but I'm pinging myself. Do you guys see it here? I'm pinging myself so he knows that I'm recalling. So this is very important for mid game. If you're AD carry and you have a huge item, and let's say your team is actually still mid lane, it's really helpful to ping your head, because if you ping your head, they'll probably just look at the minimap and be like, oh shit, look, that guy is recalling. So for example, right here, Galio, I pinged on my way, I tried to go for a gank, but the moment I actually disengage, I ping myself that we're not going to be able to do that, and I immediately just went base. So pinging yourself is also a good tip. And also another thing that you can do is that you want to confirm, like for example, let's say Trundle pings on my way right here, I ping on my way as well. This is the confirmation ping, and this is very important for sure, because once you're going to do confirmation ping, what's going to end up happening is that he's gonna be more happy to like go in, and he's gonna be like a lot more confident, right? So if someone is like pinging on my way, like it's really important for you to actually ping confirmation ping right here, right? So let's say he's pinging on my way, I'm also pinging on my way. That means confirmation ping, right? Or he's pinging on my way, you can ping like back off, like, hey, I don't want to engage. That's fine, but usually I don't recommend you to actually control much of his decision making. Like if he makes a call, just try to hover and follow in a way, because if you try to, he's pinging on my way and you're always like pinging in danger, that might be very annoying for him. And we all know how support works, and we all know how support players are. So if you're like discouraging their engage, and there is, I mean, okay, maybe one option is that you're discouraging them, they ping on my way, you're discouraging them to like not go in, but then they will just not like be bot lane anymore, they will just perma roam, or they will start flaming you like, what the fuck are you pinging me, why are you pinging me, let's go in, we can win. Like, you not being on the same page, it can be fixed with let him be, don't discourage this call. Like I honestly think that if you want to ping properly, just ping only if you want to go in with him, okay? If you don't want to go with him, just try to hover, and again, as I said, try to hover in a position where you're safe but he's also safe, and don't like overextend too hard, but at the same time don't try to be too annoying with the pings, because again, it can be a double-edged sword. So what I'm saying is that if you're agreeing with what he does and he's like making a call, you can definitely ping on my way confirmation ping. But if you're not actually agreeing, usually I will let him be, I will let him engage, and then I will hover him like from behind, and I will not follow fully, but I will not like discourage him, because again, if he's going in and he's pinging on my way and you're always pinging danger, I see a lot of AD carries doing this, you're gonna tilt him and he's gonna go top lane, he's gonna leave you, and you don't want that into your game, right? Another very important thing that no one actually does in the late, like low elo and also high elo, is that let's say right now he wants to recall, I'm pinging to push, he actually listens to me, of course, like we need to kill this guy again, sorry for that. And then of course, like right now we need to push, right? And he's following me because he actually backed off. If you guys see my Trundle right here, he actually backed off. So right now I'm gonna try to do 2 pings as well. Of course, he's gonna follow, he's gonna stay with me. And right now, after I'm pushing, I'm just gonna back. He's backing with me, and what do? I thumbs him up. Well played, bro. You know, it's really important. I mean, again, this is a bot, so it doesn't work with this guy, but like making sure you cheer him up, making sure he followed you, so cheer him up. That's very good for his mental. League of Legends is a game where there is so many emotions, you're gonna get tilted, and it's like really hard for you to play if you're tilted. So if your support follows you, whether you ping him to stay with you or whether you want him to push with you, make sure you ping him. Like I would avoid, like you can ping in a funny way as well if you want, that you can just put a thumbs up on it, Timo thumbs up, you know, that's good. Just so you can make sure he's happy, because again, if you're constantly like pinging him and triggering him, and you're gonna have a Trundle or like a support that is like, well, FK. Another thing to understand about League of Legends is that some pings are actually more intensive than others. So for example, if you want to ping something, let's say you can also ping, for example, jungle is bot lane, try to ping this ping. Did you hear it? Look, this ping is much better than this ping. And anyways, the yellow ping is much better than this ping. This ping is the most useless ping that you can ever think about in the game. So some pings are more intense. For example, yeah, this is a very intense ping, like the danger one. And this is also a very intense ping. So usually when I'm pinging with intense ping. I avoid this ping. I avoid enemy missing, of course. Like honestly, I think there is no reason for you to ping enemy missing. Like if they're actually missing, let's say like right now, let's say I'm Zyra right now and Talia is missing, yes? So let's say I'm playing Talia support. Like she shouldn't ping SS like this. That's garbage. She should ping the Reaver, danger. So mid lane is gonna be scared. Like the Gala is gonna be scared of like going in, right? That's like it's kind of obvious. Like there are some pings that are kind of useless because this danger means this. Sorry, not this. This means guys get the fuck out of there. Galio, run. Talia is coming. This means oh guys, Talia is missing. We don't know where she is. So careful. Yeah, but should top lane be careful? Should mid lane be careful? Because, I mean, obviously, the support can also roam top lane, right? So, you need to be very specific with your pings, and you need to make sure you use the intense pings. And of course, this is also really intense. Like, it's really intense. You can feel it. Your support is gonna feel forced to actually, you know, go in with this ping. And of course, if you're in the later stages and let's say Baron is up, and let's say no one is in the fight and you want them to do Nashor, don't do... This is also like a very useless ping. Like, you'd rather... play for Drake, guys, like something like this. Like you'd rather typing is also very important sometimes. I'll show you like some examples with when typing is actually important, if you can do it fast, because if you're doing play for Drake, like if you're typing like slow, that's not gonna be like, you have to do a play for Drake now, like just type really fast, just type like really fast, and then you just go from there. Because the thing is, if you don't do that, what's gonna end up happening is that you're gonna waste time. So typing can help you, and if you're pinging in the Nashor, just ping assistance is one of the best pings, but usually you just ping, like you need to ping 5 times, right? For the Void Links, for the Herald, and especially for the Nashor, if you're pinging in the later stages, you just ping 5 times. Of course, now this is not good call. I shouldn't really be doing this when I have no prio here. On top lane, and I mean I have prior mid lane, but it's still not a good call. So really important, make sure you use the right pings. Another thing that you can actually do is you can make sure you are having shortcuts for ping. So instead of doing this and doing this, I just do go. You either press Alt or Control or even G, you can ping. So it's like really easy for you to ping, right? Because the thing is, you want to be fast in this game. Like I have it, for example, on N, but you can also like press Alt and make sure you scroll around, or G, or even V, I think it is, but I have by V on the F keys, so I can actually do it much easier. But yeah, I mean, just having shortcuts on the pings is like actually quite important. You can put it on the mouse button as well. Like you have a lot of options there, right there. Oh yeah, don't forget that when you ping in the Baron Nashor, you have to ping it like 5-6 times. Obviously on the laning phase, this rule doesn't actually work, doesn't really apply. In laning phase, you ping maximum 2 times, maybe sometimes 3 times, but 2 times is the sweet spot. But on the Nashor and big objectives like Drake, you can consider pinging like a lot. Another ping that is important is the cooldown ping. So it's really important for you to actually, when someone is losing something in the laning phase, like an important ability, that you actually ping, so your teammate can actually play around this. For example, right here, you guys can see I play Emilio. I'm hitting the minions constantly. We have Varus E and we have Emilio E. Emilio has 2 shields, Janna has W level 1 and Caitlyn has Q. So it's really crucial for us to like actually ping like when we're having an ability. Like right now I wasted my E, so what I'm doing is that I'm actually pinging my E. The reason why I'm pinging my E is because since I did this mistake and I wasted my E, enemy know that I have around 12 seconds to 13 seconds cooldown on my E. Therefore, as you guys can see, this Caitlyn is high master, so she's clicking up because she knows, hey, Emilio, he used the second shield. We need to like walk up. Of course, Varus, he also has to know that, but he needs to know exactly, okay, how much is Emilio E, and I ping it right now 12 seconds, and I will ping it, I should ping it as well when it's like 4 or 3 seconds as well, so he will know as well, right? So as you guys can see, it's 3 seconds. I ping it one more time and he walked up. Did you guys see that? He walked up, and right now you guys will say, oh, besides, but you know, my support will never follow me like this. All of these pings, man. I mean, my support will never follow, right? I mean, sure, maybe he's gonna follow more, but I mean, some of the tips don't work, right? I mean, the real reason why you get these tips is really, you want to higher your chances of support following you. You want to higher your chances of your teammates following you. Whether they will follow or not depends also on like how tilted they are before the game, what kind of players they are, because maybe if they are Janna main, they will have a proclivity to play safe. But yeah, you can just, with these tips, you can just higher your chances of you know, making sure they follow you, right? Another important thing that you actually might look to do is the following. So right now they are diveable on the bot lane, and I mean, obviously we can do extremely easy to dive, and then I ping my jungle on the head and I ping bot lane all in. And usually what I do after this, so I can actually make myself clear that I'm not actually wanting a gank, I'm willing to go for a dive. So usually I also write here dive, like I write really fast dives. It's really important for you to be clear. After you're pinging, you might as well just look to type in the chat, but you can either be a fast writer, because if you don't type fast, then you're gonna waste time. You'd rather not type. So here I pinged my Gwen, she walked up. This is again master tier, so it's a reasonable rank, but if you're playing in lower rank, you should usually just try to ping and then type dive. And again, don't have expectations, because most likely people are not like that proficient at diving, you know. And look what the situation is looking like right here. They can't do shit. This guy is so behind in CS because we obliterated them level 1 and level 2. We played like really well in terms of trading. And because I wrote, it was just GG. Like it was just really GG. So writing in the chat, as long as you're fast and you're not wasting time, it can help you a lot for solo queue environments. What's the actuation point? Razor? What the fuck? Okay. So the next thing that we're going to talk about here is vision and words. Based on what do you need to put a word or not, and how do you really decide? Should we place a word in first place? And if we place it, where should we place it? And when should we actually go for it? So usually the words that you place or not and the position of those happen based on two things. One is how big is the threat of dying, and the threat of dying for you will actually be given by two aspects I will give you in a bit. If the chances of you dying to a gank are high, and those will then obviously depend on what champions they have, then you want a word. There are many situations where you don't need to word. Let's say you are playing against a Shyvana, which is a very weak champion in the early game. She's most likely full clear, and even if she's not going to full clear, she's still gonna be useless. And let's say you play Caitlyn Morgana, obviously in this lane, this is a very strong lane, and they say you have on Sivir on the bottom side and you have a Yuumi. So the threat of dying right here for Caitlyn Morgana is very low, because one, Shyvana has no CC even though she's coming from behind, and two, Yuumi has no CC. So this threat is actually given by these two aspects: how much CC does the support and the AD carry have, but usually the support, and how much CC does the jungle have. So right now in this lane, whether they push really hard or not, the chances of dying is like 20%, 10%, because Morgana has spell shield, they have no CC. So Caitlyn shouldn't necessarily ward unless it's like very free. Like she can just play the whole lane phase just very aggressively. She can probably just 2v4 depending on if they have like a Malzahar or not. Of course it's a harder, but in this case they shouldn't even ward. So if you don't need a word, if the chances of you dying here are not high, then you don't need a word, don't need to place it. If the chances of dying are high, then obviously you want to place it. The wave also the position of the size of the wave will allow you to choose the best word spot. So for example, let's say you are playing against a Nautilus, and let's say you're actually playing against a champion that can gank, not like Nocturne because you would have to ward his camps, or Evelyn. Let's say you play against a normal jungle like Sejuani. So let's say the wave is in the middle right here like this, okay? So this is the wave. So theoretically, if the wave is a little bit pushed into them and they have priority, they could get ganked on this wave when it's gonna meet, like when it's gonna go here, let's say is going to meet with the enemy wave. So let's say if Caitlyn knows that she's going to be in this position, she can go for a word like right now, but the word that she's going to go, I can't be too deep. She only has to word this brush really fast, because the wave right here, Nautilus can just walk up on her and hook her. So what I'm saying is that if you can crush the wave and if you can push the enemy with your wave into the tower, you can go for a deeper word, right? Because right now, if you're walking up to the brush like this, obviously you have a big wave right now, so if Nautilus wants to come, first of all, Sivir is not able to follow because you just crushed the wave. So pushing the wave first is a very important thing if you want to ward. But sometimes again you can't do that. Let's say you're not able to do that, so in that case you either don't go for a word, because if you go for a word you get collapsed, or if the wave is in the middle and you are kind of close to the brush, you can go for a very fast word into the brush if it takes you only 2 seconds or 3 seconds. It's very important to make sure you don't lose too many you don't lose minions at all as you're going for a word. That's very, very important. And obviously the next thing that high elo players do is that they push, and as they're walking up, they're actually looking at the body language of the Nautilus here. And if the Nautilus is staying in the tower as they're warding here, that means jungle is not around. But if of course I'm going towards the brush with Caitlyn and Nautilus walks up, then I don't even ward, I just back off and stay here, or I'm just happy with this word, because that means, well, Nautilus has a plan. I'm sure I'm getting ganked. I'm looking at the body language of the people, and that's what they do. So this is basically how you ward. You ward based on the threat of the enemy, jungle and enemy support, how easy and likely it is for you to die, and the position of the ward will depend on the size of the wave. If you have a huge wave into the tower, you can go for a deeper ward, really easy. But usually this Tribush word is perfect. Some people, they prefer this because this is not pinkable. They usually have a pink here. So this pink word doesn't really do much if you really think about it. So usually, like, what you do if this is a pink word, let's say you just put it right here. This word is also really amazing for you on the bottom side, because it sees the Krugs and it sees Sejuani just moving this way. But realistically speaking, if you're not support, I mean, this word is absolutely amazing as well. Like right here, this word, like there are a lot of words that are like OP. It's like very unrealistic for you to think that you're gonna face check and go for that brush. Very unrealistic for you to end up being here. So as an AD carry, like the wording is very like stable and very like you know, it has to be fast and it has to be, you know, conservatory, because you don't want to put yourself into any risk. So usually this word, if the wave allows you, it doesn't allow, it's fine. If you can get this word, it's absolutely amazing. Just a normal pink right here is really good. If you're Caitlyn side, and if you're on a Sivir side, same thing. Like this word is okay, but this word is better. And if you're getting pushed in constantly, you can just go here and just drop over the wall a word, so you can see if you're getting dove by enemy jungle. Let's say you're getting dove, so that's a very good word as well for Sivir. So this word is like really good. This pink word is good if you're Caitlyn, but if you're Sivir, this word is nice. This word is pretty good. And again, if you're playing from behind, you can also word this brush. If you can go for a deeper word, the one that I think if you have a huge wave into the enemy tower, and I would usually not go for a deep ward, I would just pressure them. But let's say you have a matchup that doesn't allow, like let's say you have Nautilus, Sivir, like you can't pressure Caitlyn Morgana, and you have a big wave in the tower, then I would usually just go. This word is pretty good, but I think this one is better. This brush is extremely important for you to actually have it worded if you're like on Sivir side right now, so you can do that. But personally, I think this one or this one are the best for you if you really want to go for a deep ward. I personally don't think it's good to go for a deep ward as AD carry in most of the cases, because it exposes you, and in SoloQ you don't have a support that plays around you. But if you're high elo, I mean, these are very good words, and you're gonna have a human on support, so you can play around it, of course. So those are like the worst position and the worst timing. Of course, the wording should actually be adapted to the game. So let's say if you think about, you know, this is the support and they got the mid tower and this blue team is actually super behind, then the support can't actually get deep vision. So what the support should do is that he should actually put words at the entrance to just make sure they don't actually go more than this line. So this is basically how support should be played. And of course, enemy support should do the opposite thing. Since they got the mid tower, they should push the vision line a little bit deeper, since mid tower is extremely important as a tower. Then you just push the vision right here. Okay, let me just put it on the red here. You can word here, maybe word here as a support, so you can actually push the vision line. So sometimes the support's job is to just make sure it protects the sides, depending on if you're behind or ahead. But if you're ahead, then enemies, like, you can just go for aggressive words. That's the same concept on AD carry as well. If you're behind, you prefer just wording these brushes. Side brush is just super safe. If you're ahead, then you can go for a deeper words. You can also go for balanced words, which is like words in the middle. And then in the later stages with blue trinket, honestly, it just depends. I mean, usually I just keep it for the Baron Nashor if they have an AD champion that can actually do Nashor very hard, like Kaisa, or they have Cassiopeia mid lane Yasuo. I just keep it for the Baron. If not, I just try to use it either as permanent vision, so I just put it here, permanent vision. This is really good. This one is pretty good. If you're playing on this side right here, this one is actually pretty good. Like this word is blue trinket is actually quite reasonable. I think it's not a bad word for sure. So if you put the blue trinket right here, it's nice. This one is okay. This one is okay. And this one is pretty good as well. This one is really good. So you have a lot of like places, but it just depends really on the flow of the game and where is everyone. Because, you know, if the Baron is up right now, for example, you can usually you want to use it as two things. One, you want to keep it for the Baron, like as an AD, you keep the blue trinket, and then when you think you do not sure, you just put it. Or you can just use it for temporary information, as in, you know, enemy jungle, like the enemy team is just getting information, it's getting a vision, you don't know what they do, you know, they're actually advancing in the jungle, and you just place it then and there immediately. So that's a temporary advantage. That's usually how I use blue trinket. You can also use it as permanent vision if you really want it. But temporary vision is usually better for low elo, because in high elo the games are a bit slower and they play more around vision. In low elo it's like it's just a roller coaster, so I think as much vision as you can get close to your side is like the best in the early game and even into mid game. Another trick that pro players use is the ward level 1 on AD carry. It's really good because you can get super early on. You put the ward at around 50 seconds into the brush right here, and then you just recall immediately. You go to the lane, and we can see that we have Zilean, Draven, Irie, Ignite. So this is going to be a very aggressive Zilean against Zeri, which is very useless early on, and a Draven. So he's going to get super. We know what's going to end up happening in this lane is that once we're going to get the push, we are just going to look to zone. So as you guys can see, Draven right now has the agency. So if Zilean wants to have more pressure, which he should not be staying here, this is master, so people are not like playing the game very optimally. So right now Zilean should be actually walking up into this brush. Obviously if Renata is human, she's gonna wear the brush, because the pressure that Zilean has is significant more if he's staying into the brush. And if Renata knows that, she wants to relieve the pressure, which she does it with a ward. So she wants to ward the brush when Zilean is there. Simple, right? So this is when the sweeper of the Draven comes in place, and when he's going to walk up and he's going to take the ward. Because if the Zilean is just staying into the brush right there, obviously he's going to have a lot of pressure. They'll put the ward, then you just sweep it away. So this is a trick that you can do, but you have to know very, very well the matchup of support. So here it's a 9 on Draven, and Zeri has like a 6 or 5 maybe, even lower. And then Zilean is like a 7 with Irie, or 8, and Renata is also like around 7. But the difference between the AD carries is significant. You know, you can get prior in the first 3 to 4 waves, therefore you can get sweeper level 1. It's a smart thing to do. Be careful, because this is double-edged sword. You are not going to be able to have a word at level 3. And you're going to rely on Zilean being human and not wasting his word level 1. This is master, so he still does it. So this guy is not very good. So you guys can see, I think maybe in Grandmaster you can do that, or maybe in High Masters. Should you do it in Emerald? Or, I mean, if you're sure that you're safe and you know that, you know, you don't need that word at level 3, because realistically speaking, you won't have the word level 3, right, if you get sweeper. So if you know you're safe, and let's say the enemy jungle has Shyvana or Karthus or someone like really full clear, weak early game, no CC, you can do this trick. It's going to help your lane. But as a rule of thumb, if you just go for the normal strategy, you keep your word for the lane. That's very, very important. And I also saw a lot of people, like, they just word level 1, like they just word this brush or this brush. It's actually quite stupid, because if you're gonna play the lane, you really need this word, because the support can just step into the brush and you really need that word. Or if you're getting ganked, just wasting the word level 1 is very, very bad. So just don't waste your word level 1 here, level 1 here, level 1 here. It's good if you want to like prevent yourself from getting cheesed, but it's, I mean, I would recommend you to not, if the chances of you getting cheese is not high and the champions that they have is like, no, like not insanely strong level 1, I would just keep the word for the lane. Super, super important. Now we're going to talk about how to follow fights, when to follow fights, based on what aspects you should follow fights. So the concepts are very, very simple. You follow the river every time when you can get something reliable. You can get a kill, or it's very easy for you to actually get something there. You don't want to risk you don't want to risk unnecessarily for something, but usually you prefer kills. You prioritize kills and not farm. And what do I mean by that? Wait, you're crazy. Like, besides, you're telling me like what? I mean, I'm not bronze. I know I should prioritize always farm. So I'm gonna show you what I mean right now. So right now this Draven is pushing. He's looking at the fight mid lane. And why is he not following right there? It's very simple. It's not following because the fight is very far. It's very unlikely for him to get there, so he's just getting the free plates and free tower. This is very easy to decide when he's in this situation. But remember that he could have just been here. He could have just been here in a situation where he actually has a chance. Like, look at this. Akali is right there. So you might say, oh, but isn't it closer right now? Can't he just go? Don't they need help? Well, the thing is, it's still far for him and he has free plates. The thing is, if he actually takes this and the fight was close to him, like in this angle, he would always consider to move. If it's really close to you and the chances of you getting something off right there is high, like in this case, majority of the cases, the chances of you getting something down there, it depends on the HP of the teammates and the HP of the enemies and the number advantage and disadvantage. Of course, sometimes it also depends on the champions. But in this case, the reason why he doesn't follow is because the distance is very high. The distance being very high actually lowers the chances a lot by actually doing something right here. So the chances of actually doing something right here is pretty low. There are chances, but the thing is, the advantage is that they're quite low. So if he's moving right here, he might do something, but this is actually a pretty far from him fights. Again, if he was closer, the higher the chances of him being able to do something right there is higher. So then he can move there. Of course, again, the distance between you and the fight will actually higher the chances of you being able to well, the distance being low will higher the chances of you being able to actually get something done. And if you think you can get something done right there reliably, you should always move. So again, the distance will tell you that, the number advantage and the HP of the teammates. Of course, before you actually choose a play like this, look at your teammates. Are they low HP? Are they full HP? Am I going to be able to make it in time? Is it a reliable fight? And if it's yes, you always prioritize fighting with them. If it's doable, you can already look to go there. Usually, again, it's about chances. So why didn't he follow in that case? He didn't follow because the distance was very high, very long. So if the fight was right here, he would definitely move. If the fight is right here, he would definitely move. If the fight was right here, he would definitely move. If the fight is right here, it's too far. So in his angle of approach, he will be able to always consider fighting if the fight is good. There's no big number advantage and it's reliable. But in this case, the distance was very high. And even though the fight actually looked pretty good at that time, because look, just this is 2v2. And if he joins, it's 3v3. It's very doable. This is too far. So once he's going to get there, he won't be able to make it in time. So how do I decide if I should follow or not? It depends on how likely it is for you to get a kill there. If it's super likely, then you want to move. If it's not super likely, then you don't want to move. And that will depend on, again, the distance, the HP of your teammates in relationship to the HP of the enemy teammates, and the number advantage. So that is basically it. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like, subscribe. It's a lot of work here. Hope this video does good. Then let me know in the comments what else you want to see on this amazing, beautiful, AD carry, outstanding channel. Bye-bye.
If you have problems improving and getting better in the game faster but cannot afford booking coaching, on my Patreon you can access more than 627 VOD reviews, premium videos about how to wave management, mid-game macro, and tier lists that will show you the best champions to climb and to improve for your elo. And these are not on YouTube, this is only on Patreon, they're exclusive. Moreover, you can participate in the free coaching waiting list to get a premium VOD review. I'm giving away 2 free VOD reviews every single week. All what you need to do is simple 2-step process. Subscribe to my Patreon and share your OPGG, and voila, you are on the waiting list. You're gonna get a personalized VOD review for any game in your match history. For just $5, you get not only the free VOD review, but a whole bunch of exclusive benefits that will supercharge your gaming experience. It's a small investment for a big return. And it's just $5, it's no brainer, right? But here is the deal, you've got to act quickly. The waiting list is already filling up fast. 55 people already subscribed to the Patreon, and there are 6 people that they already are on board, they are on the waiting list. And more are joining every moment. Now, do you want to secure your spot for a free VOD review? Go ahead on my Patreon and reserve it right now.